Welcome, welcome. Friends, this is Milton Olave. Welcome to the USHCC and Coca-Cola Enhancing Hispanic Chamber Board Effectiveness Training. Before we begin, we would like to provide you with some housekeeping best practices. We want today's Zoom meeting to be live where we can see all of your faces and interact on camera. However, please be sure that you keep your microphone muted throughout the training unless you're called upon to speak. To get the best experience, we recommend that you use Speaker View by clicking on the options on the top right of your Zoom screen, which will allow you to maximize the use of your screen for the presentations. To ask a question, please type it into the chat. You can also use the reaction button to raise your hand, which we will use later in the networking portion of the event. The speakers and instructors' bios and presentations have been emailed to you for your reference. Lastly, this meeting is being recorded. By remaining on the training, you're consenting to being a part of this live recording. Thank you for that. Before we get going and we introduce our first speaker, I want all of you, again, definitely show up on camera. We're going to take a group picture. Make sure you show up with your best self, your best smile. And Brianna, I think you're going to lead us through this. Take it away, Brianna.
Yes, let me give everyone a moment to turn your camera on for this quick picture. We'd love to see your face. Give everybody a couple of seconds. I know some folks are on multiple screens trying to unmute and turn on their cameras, so we'd love to see you. Okay. So everybody's camera on and ready with a big smile. Ready? Okay, I'm gonna take a picture. Ready, 1, 2, 3. All right, beautiful.
All right, now that we saw your pearly whites, why don't we get this party started? And for me, it's a true delight to introduce Mr. Ramiro Cavazos. Ramiro Cavazos is the President and Chief Executive Officer of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Previously, he served as the President and CEO of the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for 10 years. With his experience in economic development, he has served as a Director of Economic Development for the City of San Antonio, Director of Research and Economic Development for the UT Health Science Center, and as the Global Public Affairs Manager for the Levi Strauss Company and Foundation for the Texas, Mexico, and Latin America region. Ramiro, it's a true delight to have you here. Take it away.
Well, thank you, Milton, and thank you, everyone with Coca-Cola. It's very, very much my honor and great pride that I am representing America's largest Latino business organization, more than 250 Latino chambers across the country, 4.7 million Hispanic-owned businesses, and the blessing of corporations like Coca-Cola, more than 150 that are members of our chamber that believe in our mission, that equity and wealth creation and health in our community is the most important thing for reigniting America's economy. I'd like to say that I'm very fortunate to work for a board of directors led by Alice Rodriguez, our new chairwoman, and we're very pleased that our general counsel, Raul Salinas, is with you today, and also, I believe, Jennifer Rodriguez, who's a great board member, and all of you, Hope, Esperanza, Coca-Cola has been a member of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce since our beginning in 1979. So felicidades a todos. This training is for you. It's free, and it's something that's going to make you better leaders and better staffers. So with that, muchísimas gracias. My apologies that I can't be with each of you today, but we're very honored that we have a great team led by Brianna Dimas and the rest of the staff to help you get the tools that you need for you to be successful. Felicidades a todos. Thank you, Coca-Cola.
Gracias, Ramiro. Thank you, Ramiro. And make sure you drive safely there. Okay, now it's a true delight and honor to introduce Hope Field. Hope Field is a senior manager of Latin affairs for the Coca-Cola Company. In her role, she serves as a national spokeswoman for Coca-Cola North America, where she manages the company's efforts to strengthen relationships across the East Coast, including Puerto Rico, focusing on the U.S. Hispanic community. Throughout her career, Hope has served as a connector between public, private, and nonprofit entities and an advocate to empower business communities. Currently, she is the Corporate Advisory Council Chairwoman and immediate past chairwoman for the Morris County Hispanic American Chamber of Commerce. She also serves on the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Senior Executive Corporate Advisory Board and Unidos U.S. Corporate Board of Advisors. Hopefield, take it away.
Thank you, Milton. Buenas tardes. Welcome to the Enhancing Hispanic Chamber Board Effectiveness event, which is a signature event by Coca-Cola. I'm very excited to have you here with us. There are over 75 chamber leaders that are going to be joining us on Zoom today from across the country. And the fact that you're all here really shows your commitment to the Latino business community. We have a full agenda of excellent training sessions and a networking opportunity during the last hour of the program. As Milton said, you were sent the electronic program book containing the agenda, bios, and presentations in an email this morning, and it's also in the chat if you would like to access it now for reference. I grew up in the chamber. As I call myself, I'm a chamber baby. My mother, Esperanza Porras Field, founded the Morris County Hispanic American Chamber of Commerce in New Jersey, and she was also a board of director on the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And I served various positions until I became chairwoman. I was chair for 4 years, and now I'm corporate chair for the chamber. And I'm also on the corporate council for the United States Hispanic Chamber Senior Advisory Board. So, this is what I'm most passionate about. I'm most passionate about the chamber community, in particular the Hispanic business community. So this is very exciting that I'm able to bring this to you today. This training originally was done in Morris County, New Jersey with our chamber. And I thought, why not bring it to a national level that all the chambers can benefit from it. So this training is created for board of directors, president and CEOs, or executive directors. And we're going to go over chamber bylaws, responsibility, governance issues, basic consideration, Robert's Rules of Order, chamber strategy, securing funding, event planning, marketing, and networking. And the instructors who are going to go over this topic are chamber experts who do this every day. So it's the people who do this every day that are going to be leading the charge today. This, the first time that we did this training, for those of you that were with us, was last year, and it was a full day training. Because of our situation with COVID, we narrowed it down to 2.5 hours with a 1 hour, followed by a 1 hour networking session. For new chambers, this is great because we're gonna go over a lot of the things that you'll need to know to develop your chamber. And for those chambers that are already established, it's also a wonderful program. It'll refresh your memory on some items. It'll give you a different perspective. This way you can compare, how you're doing it to how other chambers are doing it. And I really think highly of the instructors, and I think that you're going to get a lot out of it. I want to thank Ramiro for the partnership and the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce team for helping me put this training together, especially Brianna and Fernando. And a special thank you to Laura, who worked very, very hard over the past few weeks to make sure that today comes out to be a success. I hope that you walk away with the information that'll help your chamber be more successful. And I'm going to leave you with this video message from Coca-Cola.
For those living together and those living apart. For classmates, graduates, and teachers making the best of it. For the restaurants delivering to our doorsteps. For the frontline workers putting it on the line every single day. For this great nation determined to be stronger on the other side. Thanks to all of you, we'll be together again.
Awesome. Love that patriotic international message that brings us all together. Thank you, Hope, for being with us this afternoon. Now I get a chance. I'm a big learning guy. I love to learn. Now I get a chance to introduce you to Cristina Martinez, President and Chief Learning Officer, Rising Above LLC, and Membership and Marketing Director, and former Chairwoman of the Morris County Hispanic American Chamber of Commerce. Her topic today is high performance leadership, and a topic that I love a lot, which is mindset. Cristina Martinez, take it away.
Gracias, Milton, por introducirme. Thank you, everyone. And happy, let's see, what are we? Today's Wednesday, so happy Wednesday wherever you are. Today, I did a little course correct. So we are going to stay on the topic of leadership. And I just want to take a quick moment again to thank Coca-Cola, to thank the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and all you leaders that showed up for you. Because the first part of leadership and the toughest part is to lead ourselves. So the fact that you made time to be here, eso dice mucho de su liderazgo. Bienvenidos, and let's have some fun together. And I'm going to set my timer here because I was told that the trapdoor will open. So here we go. Rising like a phoenix. You know, right now, 2020, who would have thought that when we turned a new decade that we would come to this, right? Did any of you envision that this is what you would experience? Probably not, right? We probably had all these dreams, wanted to grow businesses, expand our chamber, travel around the world, you name it, y luego esto. So what happens, right, when crisis meets opportunity? Well, the first thing I want to just touch on is we all come into, whenever there is a crisis, we go into fight or flight mode, right? Our survival mode kicks in. So how do you stop a determined leader of a Hispanic chamber? You can't, right? No es posible. Somos, no nos pueden detener porque esa pasión que tenemos como líderes para presentar aquí con ustedes y ayudarnos, ese amor que tenemos al prójimo, that love that we have for one another, is immeasurable. So I want to share a little story and see if you can relate. So it's end of, towards the latter part of last year, your schedule is, as Milton, you can relate to this, right? Speaking engagements are lined up, any coaching sessions, any in-person events, workshops, calendars looking really good and solid, and you're tracking for your 2020 goals. And then this thing just kind of happens and it takes over the news. So when I started the year, right, when crisis meets opportunity, when the year started, there were a lot of keynote engagements that were set up. Some were opportunities on a national level. Some were statewide levels. Some were with clients to go in, and I have the honor of helping leaders and coaching them to get to that next step, whatever that is for them, so that they can live a greater life and serve their families and their passion. And so in the midst of all of this, of course, we have a pandemic, right? Did anybody plan for a pandemic in their calendar? Probably not. And so what I started to notice is that everywhere you looked on social media, in the news was selling fear. And for me, that is the real pandemic. I'm not dismissing what we're going through. Please don't mix my message. I understand many of us, even within our chamber home here in Morris County, we have lost loved ones. And I want to honor all the loved ones that have really fought for us and our future. But what I want to call attention for you is to look at where our mind is through the midst of this. For me, when I say the real pandemic is fear, is because it is very easy to start to look at how everything's not going to work. So I started to think about, my family, my 81-year young mom who will next month be 82, gracias a Dios. And I started to look at how am I going to move this vision forward that I have for 2020 and beyond for my company, which part of that is to create massive wealth for children so that they can continue their education. And ayudar a nuestros hispanos, right? So that's what I started to do. And I noticed that in the moments that I allowed myself to step into the wormhole, if you will, I'm borrowing a Star Trek term there, that your mind easily can get distracted with this fear. So I got to work, right? I got to work as most of us do in the chamber. And we all rallied together for us. So what I'm going to cover today is how to lead through crisis with the 3 R's, because we are in unprecedented times. And so I want you to think about, and if you have notes, I'd encourage you to take them. Resilience, relationships, and resourcefulness. Because resourcefulness creates, to what Ramiro has said to us, that our favorite color is green, right? To help each other economically thrive. And in order to do that, we've got to take care of this, our mindset. In my field, I do a lot of studying of neuroscience. And as I mentioned to you earlier, that during moments of crisis, what happens is our central nervous system defaults to survival mode, fight or flight. So what that means for us as leaders is that this front part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, I'm going to get a little geeky on you here, it literally shuts off. This is the part of your brain, the frontal cortex, that is responsible for logic, reasoning, your ability to regulate yourself socially, to respond. In survival mode, it shuts off. And we call that the amygdala hijacking. And so ironically, some of those sessions that I was leading in with the clients had to do on the subject of emotional intelligence, right? Our ability to relate and connect to our emotions and others, and to use that for maximum effect to collaborate and lead our teams. And so I want you to think about how and where your mind has gone through this. Because now more than ever is when we must be the guardians of our mind. So what is this thing called mindset? It is a set of beliefs, creencias, pensamientos that determine our behavior, our perspective, la manera en que vemos la vida. Y ahora más que nunca, como les he dicho, we need to guard this space. This is your most sacred space right here. This, and connect them and guard them like a hawk. And watch our circle of influence. And I want you to pay attention to what your self-talk is. Pay attention to your members. What are they saying about themselves? Because right now is a time that we need to swoop in and carry our community. Not just with loving gestures, but also with any opportunity we can. And later, some other leaders are going to share what those economic opportunities that they're generating through their chambers for our community. So I just want you to take a quick moment and jot down for yourself, during this crisis, where is your focus? Are you seeing this as an obstacle? Is it a threat? Or are you discovering a window of opportunity? One that will help you rise like a phoenix through the ashes for you and the team. The picture you're seeing up there was actually on the Jersey Shore when I had an opportunity to remind myself. I thought, what a neat message. Let's carve this in the sand, that I am the voice inside you that says, sí se puede, unidos progresamos. That's where we need to stay focused. And the reason why is because the fears that we don't face will become our limits. So what fears did you and your members and your board have when all of this started? I want you to, if you could, rewind 6 months ago. Many of us were worried about our loved ones. I have a mother who has health challenges, and es mi única. So I wanted to do everything, and I still do, to protect her and have her around for a long time. Through that process, as you're thinking about where is my mind, what am I paying attention to, I'm curious what new beliefs and thoughts you've adopted. Some people saw this as, oh my gosh, I can't go out. I'm frozen in fear, I'm paralyzed. And fortunately, we all get to do this together. And I say fortunately because there is a blessing even in the moments that don't look like they're blessings. So I'd like to walk you through the 3 R's of leading through crisis. The first one is resilience. walking through fire. We're a community that we've already been walking through fire since we were young. Hemos caminado por la lumbre, por fuegos. Think of our immigrant parents. I am a proud daughter of a beautiful Mexican mom who then came to this country and loved it so much that she decided to naturalize. Think of the adversity they went through. Think of the losses that our families encountered. But through all that, we have become, as underdogs, really, we're now the majority, right? That we can face any adversity that comes to us because it is our heritage. Como Latinos, we are resilient. We have a courage unlike no other, and it is our superpower. So I want you to remember that courage is our superpower. And if we don't face a situation that's not challenging enough for us, it won't change you. What? Do I need more challenges, Christina? Well, guess what? Back to the neuroscience. When we are going through times of high crisis and situations where we're constantly having to pivot and learn and grow, what happens is in our brain, we have the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere. Our brain actually creates synapses across both hemispheres, which enable the thinking that from creative and logic and reason to emotion to travel quickly across both hemispheres. And ironically, when we're under boiler type situations, cuando se ve como que ya no podemos más, your brain actually is getting smarter. My brain's getting smarter? Yes, because it's creating neural pathways and highways for you to be able to access that logic and that reason, and then to be creative and come up with solutions to help ourselves. So while we're going through this adversity, keep in mind that it is a new path that we're carving. We've actually been forced upon it. And yes, I understand change can be tough for some of us. And through that change is when you really find out as a community what we're made of. So I want you to think about what is one obstacle or adversity that you've overcome in your life? What's something that your team has overcome? And how has that adversity prepared you for where you are right now? I want to share some things that we've done at our chamber. This is, one of the things that really hit our families and our communities most is that many of our Hispanos, are essential workers. And so they were going to work. Others got to work from home, but not them. And so what we decided to do as a board is we created a community cares program. The picture that you see in front of you is our chairman, Mr. Ralph Tejeda, next to our vice chair, Victor Gallardo. And in that program, what we did is we provided for communities the most basic needs, because when we're in crisis, we've got to come down and fill those basic needs. So think about within your group, right, as a board. Is there a story of a chamber member, someone who's overcoming adversity that has paved the way for others? And when was the last time that we recognized our unsung heroes? While we were all talking before this session came on, we talked about collaboration with each other. I think it's time that we collaborate as well to celebrate our unsung heroes. The second R that I want to share with you is that of relationships. Relationships are the glue that holds everything together and keep us going through this time. And so here you have in front of us a snapshot of when we have our board meetings now, they're all virtual. At 6 o'clock, we come on, and from 6 to 6:30, we network, we reconnect with each other, and then our meeting actually begins at 6:30. But in that time, we get to know each other. And this particular picture that we took, you'll see Ralph Tejeda, our chairman, on the top. You'll see Hope Field, our immediate past chairwoman, a few other faces there. And what we find is that when we start to get to know each other at a deeper level, that's when we can really get to serve. Deeper levels. Esa es la conexión que nosotros tenemos en nuestra comunidad, que nadie más nos puede ganar en eso. And so we start to plan. And we have this whole thing down, right? With all this social distancing, all this crisis that's happening around us, we've become very creative, expert level creativity at maintaining relationships through the Community Cares program, at building connections even more during these times. We also provided for our teams, our chamber members, a forum online where we brought the state director of the Small Business Administration to help figure out how to get those loans and help them through, you know, the PPP and economic recovery. And I said that relationships, right, are the glue that hold everything together. We even took this expert level virtual relationship to a whole new level by celebrating, if you can look on that closer picture on the bottom, our founder, Esperanza Porras Field, had a birthday in the midst of all of this. And so we actually found a way to socially distance, give her a serenade. So I'm saying this to you because we're in this time, but it also invites this creativity. Resilience, relationships make room for creativity. And of course, many of us are working from home, and with that come many challenges, right? The challenge of communication. Now we have to adapt to everyone that's in the household. Engagement, how do we stimulate participation and keep everyone involved, from our board members, teams, to our communities, and nurturing the relationships. And how do we do that while we work remotely? So I do want to give you a gift, okay? If I were you, on this next slide, I invite you to take a screenshot or a picture with it, or you're welcome to send me a message afterwards so we can move forward with that. And these are some tools, right? My business is in the line of high performance leadership and communication. And what we did is we got busy. My partners and I created a tool for your success called a Working From Home Report. And what you're seeing in front of you, actually, this is a link that you click on. Again, take that screenshot, and I will actually post it in the comments later, but you can take a quick assessment online, and we will provide you with a report that will help you strengthen the way you communicate with others so that you can better adapt to their needs, that will stimulate engagement to bring out the best in others, and it will definitely help you nurture those relationships. You'll also be provided with these working from home tips. And by the way, these tips, they tend to be customized to the individual person. So please share this far and wide. Make sure everyone in your teams, your boards, take this and share it with your community, and even at work with your employees. Porque unidos progresamos. So that is my gift to you and from the Morris County Hispanic American Chamber. We want to help you thrive. Other tools that are available are engagement, right? Keys to engaging people in teams. How many of you have noticed? I've seen people send notes on how the teams, you know, protocol for social etiquette online. Well, this also will provide you, this is a separate report actually you're looking at. The first report will give you the tips on working from home. So that will be specific to that. And then this one looks at engagement. By the way, this is all in your notes, so don't fret if you miss it. Está bien, lo puede ver en las notas. But the third art that I want to share with you is about resourcefulness. And this is really where the rubber meets the road, because resourcefulness creates revenue opportunities and support for our community. I know that as I look at the deck here, our next speakers are going to share how we can do more of that. So I'm not going to go into depth in that, but I do want to share a moment in time for you. We had planned this year an event called Su Salud Primero, where we educate our community on, you know, the health disparities and the areas that we need to support them. Obesity, you know, high blood pressure, diabetes, all those things. But, you know, so much for the idea of having it in person. I'm sure many of you can relate that you had to, you know, we had a lineup, but we kept postponing because we thought this will be over any day and we'll postpone the live event. So we decided to take it virtual. And what you have in front of you is one of our signature events that was also sponsored by Wells Fargo and Coca-Cola. Thank you again, Coca-Cola, where we brought the United States Surgeon General to address what the community, the issues affecting our Hispanic community during COVID. We'll invite you later to go see it if you want to hear directly, but we had a panel of 8 leaders, community leaders from health organizations, doctors, financial health, you name it, to help us grow. So as I come to a close, I want you to remember the 3 R's as you lead through crisis: resilience, relationship, and resourcefulness. Porque ahorita más que nunca es cuando tenemos que usar este bello cerebro que tenemos, como lo estamos haciendo aquí. And as we've had in the conference, these wonderful breakout sessions to help us break through to a new level in our businesses and supporting our communities. And as my mentors say, and I like to say that we never leave the sign, right, of inspiration. Never leave a scene of inspiration without an actual plan. So I'd like for you to just take a moment right now and very simply write start, stop, and continue. And based on what you learned today, what are some things what's one thing that you are going to stop doing as a leader because it doesn't serve you? Maybe it's that mindset. Maybe it's kind of getting absorbed into, all the chaos that's going on. Maybe it's the frustration because now we're dealing with technology and maybe not everyone knows how to use the technology. So what's one stop? Number 2 is one thing you will modify. So start doing because you're doing it so well, so do more of it. And lastly, what's one thing that you will continue to do because you do it so well, and so do more of it. Take a screenshot of this because if you want to build your relationship skills, here is the way to do it. Y para terminar con ustedes, cuando sientas que te quieres rendir, piensa por qué empezaste. Always remember your why, everyone. I am honored to be on this panel with you, and I want to introduce you to my why, Guadalupe Martinez, mi madrecita mexicana. Please remember that together, unidos progresamos and we rise like a phoenix. And I'm going to turn it back over to our announcer. Thank you.
Muy bien, Cristina Martinez, muchas gracias. Thank you so much for this invigorating, enriching topic of how is it that we can lead the way through a very empowering mindset. Thank you so much. Next, folks, we go to a person that I introduced myself to at the beginning of this call. We had a great couple minutes. I'm delighted to introduce Raul Salinas Esquire.
Yeah.
Managing shareholder.
You want to, okay.
Yes? Okay, anyhow, someone was speaking, there you go. Anyhow, Raul Salinas Esquire, managing shareholder, Alvarado Smith, and general counsel of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Raul's topic today is chamber bylaws, responsibilities, governance issues. Raul Salinas, take it away.
Milton, thank you very much, and Hope, thank you, and to Coca-Cola for inviting me to be a part of this presentation. I prepared about 4 substantive slides during the 20 minutes that I have been granted, and I'd like to get through those slides and allow time at the end for any questions that might be posed. And I have some notes here, so I'll be looking down to them during the course of my presentation. But let's just get into it right now. Let's face it. The topic of bylaws, it's not the most exciting thing, most interesting thing to talk about. And for those of you that sit on nonprofit boards, I suspect that most of you have taken a glance at those bylaws from time to time, but you've not really read them. There's really no need to do so. And in fact, as I was preparing for this, I was trying to think of, well, what do bylaws mean? Where does that root word come from? And I didn't really come up with the answer, but the problem is it sounds really close to in-laws. And there's a lot of comparison between bylaws and in-laws. And the first of them, and I'm not talking about my own family, I love my in-laws, but for some of us, we only want to deal with our in-laws when we have to. And that's what bylaws are about. We typically turn to those bylaws when there's a problem in-house, when we're having to deal with the difficult board member, when we got to respond to government agency inquiries, or when it's time for elections and we're trying to figure out who's going to run the organization. like in-laws, we only look to them when we need to. And like in-laws, they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and different levels of difficulty. So what I want to do in our presentation today is not focus so much on the texture and the wordsmithing and what should be in a set of bylaws. You can go on the internet. There's a number of resources out there. What I really hope to do during these minutes that I have with you is to give you a much broader understanding of what is the real purpose of the bylaws, perhaps how to look at bylaws, and what I think are the most important component parts of bylaws and why. And so with that, and hope next time if you ask me back, maybe we'll change the topic to how our bylaws like in-laws, and maybe we'll get even more folks to join us. But I want to step back and say, the answer to the question that I posed to you, why do we have bylaws? And the reason for that is that they're intended to bring clarity to our position as members of the board. It's intended to manage expectations. It's so that everyone starts on the same playing field if we pay attention to them. And when it comes time to doing board assessments, our individual assessments of our respective contributions to the board, that we are in fact doing a great job and that we're being judged fairly there. So most high functioning nonprofit boards that I've been involved in conduct an annual board assessment. And what is an annual board assessment? It's exactly what it says. It's how do we assess ourselves individually and as a group in terms of how we're managing this nonprofit organization. Again, there are a lot of assessments out there on the internet. You can type in and take a look at those. But the key points of those are what I have on this slide. There's governance. How effective are board members? How closely are we monitoring the overall mission and achievement of our objectives? Financial oversight. How closely are we really paying attention and asking those hard and possibly awkward questions? On the fundraising level, most organizations require a board give or get. And so when you started on the board, were you asked ahead of time to contribute to the organization? Do you know what the minimum buy-in is for a board level position? Those things should be set out up front early on so there's no problem there. And of course, why do we sit on a board is to make the organization grow through strategic planning. So assessment goes into that. And then finally, are we truly being true to our mission and our vision? Some chambers, unfortunately, operate on very thin margins. And so we find ourselves having to chase the dollar that a corporation or a benefactor may give us and perhaps not stay true to our mission and vision. And so it's a fair question to ask board members and the board as a whole is, are we staying true to the programmatic efforts that we are set up for? So if you agree with me, and I hope you do, that the assessment of a board member is important and that we should in fact have a standard set of expectations, then I hope that the need to have bylaws becomes even more relevant there. What I'd like to do is let's move on to the next slide here. And let's talk about some of the membership categories here. All bylaws have within them a section dealing with membership categories. And let's focus on that. We want to make sure that we attract individuals to be members of the chamber. HBEs, Hispanic business enterprises, we're going after the business community. That's who our target meat and potato kind of client is. Corporate partners, we need them because they help us as much as we should help them in terms of soliciting support for the efforts that we're trying to do as a chamber, but also helping them trying to reach their target market because they too have to have a value expectation about why they're being involved with us. There are reasons to have honorary members, folks that aren't really involved in the day-to-day management as a board member of the organization. And of course, being involved in bringing in other associations, similarly minded organizations are very important. Now, I just want to spend a little bit of time on that, is that that some chambers have advisory boards. What's an advisory board? Typically, it's a group of corporate executives, but not always. It could be former board members who have termed out and you're trying to not lose a connection, but you want to have a place for them. Typically, they have no voting powers. and they have no legal fiduciary responsibility for the organization. They are just an advisory group. You bring them together once or twice a year. You tell them where they're at, where you're at as an organization. You keep them involved. You ask for their judgment and their advice, and hopefully for their access to either money or to individuals there. So it's important for each of you, depending on how large of your organization you have, to take a look at that. I also want to talk to you about a little bit about the voting. You know, different bylaws provide for different levels of voting, and you know, some chambers will elect their board members through a group consensus, and that becomes, I think, a very unwieldy process in today's day and age. Most chambers I know restrict the voting to the organization onto and limit it just to the board of directors, and they do not extend that either to persons who have left the board but might be on the either a chair emeritus or immediate past president, or they or to the advisory board if they're so inclined to do that. So as you take a look and you're trying to structure or revise your bylaws, you know, take a look and see whether it makes sense for you to call out in the bylaws an advisory board. Are you reaching out to Hispanic enterprises and so forth? Let's go to the next slide here. All bylaws are going to talk about the composition of the board. How many board members should you have? And therein, I think, lies the real internal question you have to ask yourself: how big can we be? How big should our board be? You know, it should always be an odd number. We know that. It seems to me that a board that is 9 or less, you're asking a lot of the board members to undertake as volunteers. You start getting to the 11, 13, 15 category. That seems to be a sweet spot for a lot of chambers. You get into the 20 and beyond numbers, it's important to be inclusive, but it's also understand that, you know, to staff 20 board members, 21 board members, you're going to need to have the back office there, the assistants, in addition to the president or the executive director, to be able to help with that. And the bylaws also, in addition to size, should also reflect how diverse the board's going to be. Do you want to make sure that you represent a particular region? And what are you going to do to try to represent that? Are you into making sure that you have particular sectors there, industry sectors, expertise sectors, capacity sectors? You also want to make sure that the bylaws reflect the entire area that's covered by you. So if you're representing the Southern California region of California, for example, in the Los Angeles area, you want to make sure that you have broad diversity in that regard. Let's move on to slide number 4, if we can. On the committee, actually, I missed it. Let's go back to leadership. One of the things that I do believe that's necessary is for you to take a look at what your succession planning is going to be. More often than not, we tend not to focus on that. It's awkward, you know. How do you raise the issue with the board chair that his or her time is up if you don't have that spelled out ahead of time about what their term should be? How do you make sure that the person who succeeds that person is going to be qualified to lead the organization and to build on the organization? Do you have a job description for what your expectations are of a board chair? How much time that they have to be prepared to contribute? How much in financial resources are they going to be prepared to contribute? What their involvement is in other organizations are all legitimate questions. Some of those should be in the bylaws, and some of those are just in a job description for your chairperson. But the most successful nonprofit organizations I've been in have a clearly defined role and job description for who the chairperson is, and they also have a clearly defined succession plan. They have a chairperson-elect that's going to succeed after a year or so. I sit on the board of Habitat for Humanity here in the greater Los Angeles area. Our board is about 32 members, and I'm the current chair of that. My term on this board is just for 1 year, and we have a chair-elect that follows me, and I rose up through the ranks as a secretary, as a vice chair, as a chair-elect and now as the chair. So there was a clear line of succession. And after my term is over, I'll be the immediate past chair, the chairperson emeritus. I'm on there. I don't get a vote, but I'm welcome to attend the meetings. Clear lines of succession and a clear movement upward for people. You only have, folks on the board that should be there, in my own opinion, not more than 6 years. That's in most cases 2 terms. After that, you run the risk of having board member fatigue. So the bylaws, again, keeping with this idea that we want to self-assess ourselves, and we want to use the bylaws to do that, we have to be honest with ourselves about how long is too long, and how do you have that conversation. I think if it's in the bylaws and you just have a 2-term limit, you have a clear succession plan, you're well on your way toward great internal governance. Let's move on to the next section here on committees. For those of you that have seen the play Hamilton, one of the lines is you want to be in the room where it happens. For most organizations that are well run, where the room where it happens is at the committee level, whether it's at the executive level, the finance level, the nominations and governance committee level, the audit committee, the risk management, and the personnel. But let me just talk a little bit about each one of those and why they're so important, and where you should try to make sure that you get yourself involved. If you're just starting out as a board, get yourself onto the finance committee. Understand how the finances work. Take a look at where the money's coming from and how it's being spent, because that serves as the basis for a significant part of your fiduciary obligation to the organization. After that, get yourself on the audit committee. The audit committee takes a look at how the books and records of the organization are being maintained, whether there's compliance by the president and his staff and reporting to the auditors and disclosing all risks, making sure that the books reflect the true state of the organization's finances. It's a great training ground for that. It's also something that a lot of for-profit organizations look to is audit/compliance experience. So it's, from a personal development perspective, being on the audit committee, while it may not seem as attractive, actually is a very substantive experience for you to be on. Risk management is sort of this developing committee that I'm seeing in more and more organizations. Most nonprofits count on the support of corporations to exist. And so how they manage that support, if they commit to performing a contract, who's there other than the president and the staff to make sure that the contracts that they're committing to are something that the organization can, in fact, perform on, because it just takes 1 or 2 contracts that are not performed on to spoil the brand label of the organization and to ruin that relationship there. So risk management is sort of a developing topic. Encourage you to take a look at that. But if you're doing government contract work, if you're doing any kind of funding that is restricted and requires the organization to do events down the road, you got to make sure that what you agree to is something the organization can carry out on, so that you don't have legal liabilities there whatsoever. The other thing I'd like to talk to you about is the nominations in the governance committee. I think that the governance is one of those where, if you have a functioning governance committee, an organization that's taking a look at how you're running, making sure that everything is transparent within the organization, and there's true lifeblood to that, great discussion, back and forth, no one's being bullied in these presentations. I think that that's one of the most important committees to have on, to be on. Let's go to my last slide, and then I'll open it up to questions. And this has to do with conflicts of interest. So this is all about integrity. It's all about fairness, it's reputation, the fairness to your members, making sure that you're not hoarding opportunities that should be shared among all of your members there. If a conflict of interest arises at the board level, someone's bringing an opportunity, and maybe it's in the best interest of the organization, maybe it's not, but that board member may stand to gain financially, that's a conflict of interest. And that should be disclosed, and it should be disclosed in writing, and there should be a process by which that conflict of interest is triaged and then decided upon. And because most programs are aimed at helping other businesses, you know, if word gets out that there's a conflict of interest at your organization and you're not dealing with it as a chamber should, there's a lot of negativity, a lot of baggage that could come out of that. And it's important for chambers to hold themselves above the law, even if it's legally possible. You know, if the optics of, you know, what might be a conflict of interest don't look good, don't do it, right? So I think, and I just want to end with this, is that whenever there's any doubt about whether there's a conflict of interest or not, I would encourage you to weigh in favor of disclosure and not engage in that if at all possible. So I think I'm at about 15 minutes right now. I wanted to save about some time for any Q&A here, and happy to field any questions from any of the participants on anything that I presented.
Awesome. Raul, well, people think about any questions. A couple things that stuck in my mind. Hamilton, be in the room where it happens. Thank you for that one. Bylaws, in-laws. Thank you so much. I also want to make quick mention here before we introduce our next speaker that I see a lot of great comments. All of you are getting great value for this from this amazing afternoon of empowerment. So thank you for the speakers, and thank you guys for the feedback. Now let's go to, thank you, by the way, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Raul. Take care.
Milton, before we continue, I just want to give an opportunity for any questions. If you can write it in the chat, or you're welcome to send a reaction. Brianna, if you could please handle the questions.
Yes. If anyone wants to just hold down the reaction button and put an emoji up. Oh, I see a question from Reverend Carmen. Let's see if we can unmute you there. All right.
Yeah, thank you, because I'm diabetic and it's hard for me to see the chat because it's so small. But hi, everyone. God bless you. It's been a long time. I missed a couple of you guys. Hi, Doña Esperanza, Don Ramiro, gracias. Thank you guys. I know we stay in touch on Facebook, and as you know, everything that you guys discussed, I've done it. But the problem is that when you have people that they get conflict of interest, you know, they get involved with the personal chamber, and they don't get the board. You know, if you're running a chamber, you gotta separate your chamber and put it with perspective to the board, because you have to represent other chamber, and you have to make sure that you're doing the right thing. One thing about me, I may not be the most money kind of chamber, and I might not be the most whatever, but I'm very integrity kind of chamber that is very well respected. And I think you all know about my chamber has been very well respected in every language, and every we practice what we preach. We have integrity. We more about really helping our businesses. You all see my work. I'm more action than just words. But there are a lot of chambers president that is all about them, and is not about the members. And we're in a COVID-19 that it's very crucial that we have Latinos suffering. Our business Latinos are suffering right now, and we don't have a voice. There's not leaders enough. We don't unite enough to build our organization in the right way, as you talk about the rule of orders and all that. How can we fight those power, you know, these people that get in those positions, and when you're trying to be, you know, do the right thing, then they want to bully you because you're trying to follow the rule of order, you know, because you're trying to do the right thing. How can you handle all that when you're fighting the ones that already got those positions, and they trying to knock you out because you're trying to do the right thing? And I think this is the problem we have with chambers, you know, those that are on board, because they don't involve the board executive, they don't involve the other boards, and they try and do things by themselves.
Thank you, Reverend Carmen.
Thank you for letting me speak. Thank you.
Thank you for your share, Reverend Carmen.
And we have one more question in the chat. What are the best practices for changing the bylaws? Once they're changed, do you need to file the changes with the Secretary of State? Ruben.
Yeah. Hey, Ruben Franco, my old good friend, thank you for asking that question. Each state varies in terms of whether or not you have to file them with the Secretary of State, but I will tell you that once they are filed, it's important to keep those bylaws in a safe place. I do think it's important to create an orientation packet. I think the Secretary for each organization needs to keep a copy of that, and as many copies as you can. I think it's important. But I would check with each Secretary of State in each state to make sure that the organizations are in compliance with their respective corporate practices. So thank you for that question.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, let's get back into the program, guys. Listen, I get excited about the next speaker that I'm about to introduce. We all have a second parent out there. She is my second parent. I've known her since the age of 17. I'll give you my age, 48. I've known her for a long time. She's had a huge impact in my life. So it's a true delight to introduce you here, Esperanza Porras Field, President and CEO of Hope Seasons, LLC, and founder and president emeritus of the Morris County Hispanic American Chamber of Commerce. Her topic today is basic consideration and Robert's Rules of Order. Esperanza, take it away, girl.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Milton. Thank you, everybody, for attending this wonderful training. And I had to have the more difficult topic, right? But if you learn how to do it, it's going to be fun to be in those meetings and practice the Robert Rules of Order. But first, I want to ask you, who is Robert? What does the Robert Rules of Order mean? And so, the Robert Rules of Order is a guide for conducting meetings, so that way we all organize. Because usually when people go to a meeting, everybody wants to speak at the same time. Nobody wants to respect the other person. So when the General Robert went to a meeting and he found out that everybody was fighting about in the church, so he just decided to finish the meeting and go and put together the Robert Rules of Order. So that is interesting, right? So let's go, you can read a little bit about Henry Martin Robert and the Robert Rules of Order that he invented years ago. Now we still use those Robert Rules of Order in the Senate, in all kinds of meetings. But in our chambers, we can use the Robert Rules of Order without being too complicated. Okay, so the first thing, in order for us to be organized, we need to set out an agenda. We need to know the logistics. We need to know the day of the meeting, the place of the meeting, who is going to attend, what is the objective of the meeting, the purpose of the meeting, the background information, social series of meetings, housekeeping items, etc. So when you have everything organized, it's going to help you. Because if you don't have an agenda, it's very hard to conduct a meeting and it's very difficult to use the Robert Rules of Order. And especially you want to make sure that you have enough of your board members to vote. You have a quorum, because without that, the meeting is not going to happen. So keep going with the presentation. So the right way to set out a meeting is, again, you have a list of items that you should do, make the purpose of the meeting clear, because what are you meeting about? Be specific, okay? Reiterate the importance of the rules, and make sure that everybody speak when it's the term, unless they're raising their hand. So we're going to speak about that in a minute. So when you have the agenda, you also have to make sure that somebody is going to take minutes, because the minutes are very important. So you need to have those documents ready, so that way in the meeting you approve the minutes of the last meeting, and you want to make sure that you have somebody writing the minutes for that particular meeting, okay? How to call this meeting to order. So when you want to, the president needs to be strong, he needs to be clear, he needs to make decision, and don't be afraid to use the Robert Rules of Order to either ask somebody to not speak anymore, or to tell them your term is out, or whatever they have to do with that person. But you need to do it in the way that you follow the Robert Rules of Order. Typically, there are an agenda to the meeting and the items on the agenda. So when the president comes, we'll say, I call this meeting to order. If the meeting is going to start at 7 o'clock, make sure that you start at 7 o'clock. Because if you don't, now everybody's going to start coming late because you know that that president is going to be late. So you cannot afford to come to a meeting late. I have a meeting agenda from the Morris County Chamber of Commerce, which could be more complex and a little more different than others. This, for instance, was on Monday, February the 10th of this year. So pretty much the meeting was called at 6:30, even though they explained to you before that they have a minute to do networking 30 minutes before. So the meeting is called by the chairman of the board. His name is Ralph Tejeda, excuse me. And in attendance was the secretary. She was the one who's taking the minutes. And then we have some special guests and etc. Then you have the approval of the agenda. And so, but when they present the agenda, this is the order of the agenda. But at the beginning of the meeting, you can call a motion and say, I would like to change the meeting of the agenda. Maybe maybe Daniela is going to leave earlier and she has to give a report. So she wants to switch Daniela from the position she is to the top of the agenda. But the agenda cannot be changed unless it's a motion to change the order of the agenda. It is not changed, the agenda goes as it goes. If somebody wants to bring something to the table and it's not on the agenda, the president should say, yes, we will put this item for the next agenda, because the president already have an organized frame or the timing that is going to take to cover each item in this agenda. So in this case, you see the chairman and you see all the position and everybody will make reports. You keep going down. So you had, in this case, you have a board of directors of 15 people. Okay, so then we go to all business, and the all business, we have different items, and you want to see who is reporting what. For instance, in this case, we have board elections. So they're going to bring somebody to the board, and somebody is going to introduce that person. You want to do a kickoff event, recap how they did in a specific meeting, and etc. They have different items. They are new business. In new business, they brought back the confidentiality agreement and the conflict of interest policy to the chamber, and that was covered by the legal counsel, Mr. Arroyo. And then was another item with the Morris County Sheriff event. So at the end, you see how they adjourn and when is the next meeting. So that's an example of an agenda. The agenda doesn't have to be like that. Can be simple, can be without names. The reason we do the names is because when the person sees their name in the agenda, they know they had to report, and it's easy to control what's going on in the meeting. So let's go to the next. So now that you have an idea of the agenda, now you have the Robert Rules of Order chart. So here is how you, and I don't want to go all over them because I would be taking forever, but I want you to read it yourself. We give you a copy. So this is how you, when you interrupt a speaker, when is a second, when is a debate, when is amendable, and what is needed. So how people vote. Here, keep going in the next one. You know, the next one is you can interrupt anybody or no. So that chart, you should, after we cover this, you should go over so that way you learn how to make motions. Excuse me, come back a little bit in the top right there. So now this is the procedures. Obtaining and assigning the floor. So how do you obtain the floor when you're going to speak? So you have different ways. You raise your hand, and you have to wait until the president or the chairman of the board acknowledge you. You just cannot just go out and start talking, no. And also you have to refer the person with a lot of respect. It is a female, you say Madam Chair. It is a man, Mr. Chairman or Mr. Chair or Mr. President. So you raise your hand very respectfully You wait to be acknowledged, and when they acknowledge you, you make either the motion or you say whatever you had to say in a respectful manner. We don't have to like each other to be respectful in the table. I may sit with somebody that I don't care about, but the reason I'm there is for an agenda to help the chamber. I'm not there to pick fights, or I'm not there to look for personalities or how handsome or how pretty somebody is. I'm there to do the work. So how you make motions? You make motions again when you say, I move that. You're talking about a topic, you say, I move that, whatever it is, we're going to paint this sky blue, okay? That's the motion. Even in this ridiculous motion, that if somebody second the motion, that doesn't mean that the person agrees with the motion. That means that maybe they want that motion off the table. So you can second the motion, but at the end, when the chairman takes a vote, you may vote against the motion. So I hope that's clear to you, that not necessarily when you second a motion is because you're agreeing with the motion. It's because you want that motion to get off the table, okay? So consideration of motions. The motions can be debatable. So you can talk about the motion, but in order to speak about the motion, has to be a first emotion and a second. When you have a second emotion, now you can debate the motions. So usually it's better to say all those in favor of this motion, let's speak, so raise your hand. So that way, the ones in favor, they will give you their opinion. And the ones against it, they give you the opinion. Maybe in the meantime, somebody convinced me that if I was against the motion, I know that I should have seconded the motion as well, or I should vote for the motion because it was a point that I didn't understand. Now, when a motion is made and you have an issue that you need more information, what you need to do is table the motion make a motion to send this item to a committee, because we need more investigation, we need to be more prepared, so we need to really bring this motion to a committee, okay? So then you made the motion, somebody second, and that motion goes to a committee, and later on, again, that item has to be placed in the agenda, okay? So when the chairman announces a motion, the chairman will say, Mr. Ramirez motion is, so he need to state the motion exactly the way it was presented. If the motion, somebody wants to add a friendly amendment to that motion, so that can be done too. Maybe when somebody present a motion and the other person think about something else, and they ask to the person who present the motion, he allows an amendment to the motion. And if that's the case, so the motion has to read the way they presented and the way the other person amended. And then the president will state the motion clearly, and after it's clear as stated, then he say, those in favor of the motion. So when people raise their hands, so the secretary will count if the motion passes or don't passes, and you have to make sure that you write in the minutes. You don't have to write exactly everything that happened, but the main important things you write in the minutes. And the motion has to be clearly written in those minutes. Keep going. When debating motions, okay? When debating motions, again, you need to be very respectful. You always need to refer to the person as the Mr. or Mrs., whatever the person is. And always you don't look at the board member that is talking about. You always look at the chairman, because the chairman is there as a referee of that meeting. He's the one who controls the meeting. He's the one who controls who is going to speak. If somebody speaks too much and keep going, the chamber can easily ignore that person because that person already have the opportunity to speak. So you don't have to be redundant. You don't have to say again, because then you never finish that meeting. So that's why you need a chairman who learn how to stop people or talking. Again, I just explained to you that how to refer things to a committee. Now, postpone indefinitely or definitely. You postpone an item because you don't have enough information, because somebody wants to put in the agenda that they want to buy a building. But to buy a building, you need money, you need different components of this. So this is something that this motion is not going to be good for this meeting because nobody is prepared to speak about that. So you need to postpone this and to a committee that probably will bring this back or we're done. Because if we don't have the money, maybe it's going to take 20 years for that motion to be clear. So something like that, you have to leave it for later on, okay? If we have a previous motion and you discussing things, again, you go, Madam President, I move to the previous question. So if that was a motion on the table and somebody else was talking and they ignored the motion, so somebody has to say, Madam Chair or Madam President or Mr. Chairman, I move to the previous question, meaning that you want to put order in the table, that everybody's organized, okay? So keep going. Remember to limit the debate. You cannot debate for 3 hours when you have a meeting of 1 hour. So you can say, the chairman can say, I'm giving you 30 seconds to each person for this debate, or 1 minute, but depends on your timing. And if you're going to go over your meeting for any reason, you need to also make a motion to ask the board that we're going to extend the meeting for 10 more minutes or for 5 more minutes, because you have to be respectful of people's time. If I took 1 hour to go to this meeting, I expect this meeting to be over in 1 hour. And it is going to be more than an hour. I should have asked the chairman, and the chairman made sure that people are going to stay. And I don't have to stay, even if they made a motion, because I already made my time to go to a meeting for an hour. Recess. If something is going on and somebody's tired because everybody comes from work, maybe they need a little break. So it's easy to say that you want to take a little break. Somebody make a motion for a little recess of 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Sometimes meetings are 3 hours. So maybe you need different breaks. Maybe you need a bathroom break. Maybe you need to eat something. So it's important to also be considerate with your peers, your friends. When you adjourn the meeting, it's again, to adjourn the meeting, somebody say, Madam Chair, I move to adjourn. We don't need a second for that. When somebody say that, when the meeting is over, you don't need to have a second. Now, the question is, can the chairman throw anybody out of the meeting? Yes, I saw it many times. Somebody is disruptive, disrespectful, and the chairman asked the person to remove themselves from the meeting room. And that is correct. Can the chairman ignore somebody after that person raises their hand 3 times? Yes, the chairman can do that because they don't have enough time, or because this person has been talking so many times that it's being disruptive. So the chairman had the freedom to do that, and it's legal. Now, if something is in the bylaws and you are discussing it, the only thing you have to say, we don't have to discuss this because it's already in the bylaws. For instance, our bylaws say that if somebody misses the meeting 2 times in a row without excuse, it's automatically out of the board. So why wasting your time discussing it? It's already in the bylaws. So you don't need to make a motion. You don't need to do anything. You only make a motion to excuse somebody or the meeting. You don't make a motion to let them go, because unless it's somebody who always come to the meeting, but it's something so serious that you need to speak about this item. But even though this specific issue has to be on the executive motion. Executive mean is private. Executive mean nobody can talk about. It's an issue that the board is going to discuss, but it's private, and you have it under an executive motion. And to speak about somebody has to make a motion to go on executive. So let's say we're going to speak about Cristina Martinez. So we're going to say, I will say, I move that we go to an executive meeting. When we speak about her, then somebody say, I move that we come out executive meeting. So that means that doesn't go in the minutes. But we spoke about and we resolved the issue, because it's like a human resources issue pretty much. So we had to be very careful with that. So now, point of personal privilege. So somebody is in the meeting making noise, the noise outside or something is happening. And so somebody without being recognized can say, point of personal privilege. Maybe an airplane is crossing by, nobody here. So you don't have to make a motion. You only have to say point of personal privilege. And the chairman has to say, state your point. What is the point? So then the person say, well, I can't hear anything because the noise is extremely loud and I can hear, or whatever reason is the person want to say. Next. Okay, we had different points there that I don't know if we're going to have the time, because this is something very complex. But one thing I can tell you is, and I say always to my daughter and to my friends, the meeting happened before the meeting. You want to avoid conflict between back and forth. In general, people talk about the items before they go to the meeting. So I went to meetings that when I sit down, all of a sudden it was motion of this, motion of that, motion of this, done, was finished. Everybody was prepared. Everybody read the minutes. Everybody knows the points. Everybody knows the numbers. And that's how the best way to conduct a meeting, when everybody is prepared. So you can avoid all these different kind of motions, because the people, the directors are not ready for that meeting. So again, if you want to be the best director of your organization, you should read your bylaws before you go to the meeting. You should talk to your peers as well. And you may want something that is very interesting to you, and you want to make sure that everybody vote for this. So you should talk about to your friends. So when you get to the meeting, you are prepared, everybody's prepared, and the meeting is to the point and done. Point of parliamentary inquiry, you are confused for some kind of rules, so then you have to say point of parliamentary inquiry, meaning that they're talking about something legal and you don't understand, so you raise your hands and you say, Mr. Chairman, point of parliamentary inquiry, meaning I need more information. The terminology they're using, I don't understand. I don't know how to answer to this, or I don't know how to go about. So when that happens, the chairman either explain, or the person who's presenting the motion explain, or the lawyer or the organization explain. And the person still don't understand. Maybe they had to refer this to be clarified in a committee and come back with that item later on.
Ms. Esperanza, Mrs. Hopefield wanted me to let you know you have one more minute. Take it away.
Thank you. So rules a classification. You can see them here. I don't have to go over. You can read them yourself. And the main thing of this is, like they say, KISS. Keep her simple. Don't get yourself all twisted around this. Just make the motion and make the second and be prepared, and you're going to be the best member ever in the United States. And then you can get this training yourself. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Esperanza. I'll tell you what stuck with me. You said the word motion quite a bit, and I learned back in the day when I worked for Tony Robbins. Emotion is created by motion, guys. So here's what I want to do. Since physiology controls our psychology, just make a little bit of a movement before I introduce the next speaker, whether it's the WAP, whatever it is, move your hands, whatever it is, guys. I want you to be prepared, stretch out, whatever it is, your fingers, your knuckles, your wrists. If you guys are boxers, stretch out your muñeca, whatever it is, guys. I can't introduce the next speaker unless you guys are lit up and on fire. She comes from the city of brotherly love. The city of brotherly love. Let's see. Put on the chat right now. Where is the city of brotherly love? How do you say that in Spanish? Brotherly love. All right. I'm not seeing it. I can't get started unless someone puts down, what is that city? The city of brotherly love, right? Anyone? All right, let's see. Yeah, there you go. And big up. That was who? There, now you guys are popping.
Now everybody is copying Ramiro.
Nice. Good deal. All right, listen, guys. Thank you so much, Esperanza. My God, I learn from you every single time that I hear you speak. Thank you so much, Esperanza Porras Field. Now I get a chance to introduce to you, nada más y nada menos, que Jennifer Rodriguez, Board of Director of the USHCC and President and CEO of the Greater Philadelphia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Her topic is Chamber Strategy and Secure Funding. Jennifer Rodriguez, are you out there, girl? Take it away.
I am out here directly from you to you from the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, and we're gonna talk money and how to get it.
Girly.
Great. So, it's been a couple of hours and I know people are probably a little bit jittery, and Esperanza, I will not invite you to one of our board meetings because I will be ashamed to show you what we do.
I know.
My board on an Esperanza regimen. And so I'll make sure that we improve our practices. Thank you so much, really, for it is very important. Having board hygiene makes for a very effective organization. So it's incredibly important that we follow Raul Salinas and your advice. But I'm going to bring to you a case study of how the Hispanic Chamber in Philadelphia has really taken COVID-19 and I would say the stresses that it has brought to many of our organizations. And we've, in some ways, turned the corner. And hopefully this is something that will help all of you with your chambers. So we're going to be talking about strategy and funding. And if we can go through the to the next slide, that would be great. Or do you want me? Okay, great. So what is, the problem that we found, and I'm going to just get straight to it because it's only 20 minutes and I want to have an opportunity for folks that have any questions in the chat to address them. So I'm going to go a little bit faster than I would normally do, but, bear with me. So, COVID-19 created a major problem, not only for the businesses that we serve in the Latino community, but for the chamber itself. The impact on the workers, on the customers, and the commercial activity threatened not only the viability of Latino-owned businesses, which so many of them are micro businesses, but also the viability of the chamber. Because if the businesses are threatened, that means that our membership revenue would be threatened. That means that we really would be in a really delicate position financially, and we would not be able to support and continue doing our mission. So how can we continue supporting the members and generate revenue with the constraints that exist? In Philadelphia in particular, you know, in Pennsylvania, there have been really significant restrictions on commercial activity. So we had a quarantine period that was pretty long. And it is only today, for example, that restaurants can have 50% capacity in their dining rooms. So really, Philadelphia has taken very, very conservative steps in this period. And so the businesses, of course, are severely impacted. Next slide, please. So what we created was a campaign, an initiative that we're calling the R+ campaign. And that's the case study that I'm gonna walk you through. And so we have created a whole branding package along with it, and we'll show you little by little how we came across, how we developed it. Next. So what is the approach that we took? So we did not do a very formal business canvas model approach, but we used a lot of the principles in order to create the campaign and to make sure that the campaign met the needs and created the value for our sponsors, for our members, and our partners. And so what I've done, if I've sort of backward engineered the campaign, and I've put it in a model so that chambers like yours can follow it. So basically, why do you use a business canvas model? Many of you may be familiar with it. Maybe many of you may have used the training through the Chamber Leadership Institute to learn how to use it and how to teach your businesses how to use it. In this case, we applied it to ourselves. So why are we using the business canvas model? Because it helps us lay out what the crucial activities and challenges involved in this period of time are, because we can look at our existing programs and see how we need to tweak them in order to meet the new challenges that COVID-19 has presented us. And then we can really work out the details. And it's a one-pager that is really effective at laying it all out for you and the staff and your board to really be on the same page. Next. So here's where we started. Basically, we had the chamber and we needed to think about, we can no longer do conferences in person. We can no longer really do a lot of the activity that we did in person. How do we then work with our chamber members? How do we support Latino-owned businesses in our communities if we really can't approach them in the traditional ways in which we used to? So here, you have this section here that starts here. And the question is, what does the chamber really do? In our case, our mission is to promote and provide access to the tools, networks, resources that Latino-owned businesses need to scale. How do we interact with these businesses? We do this in person, one-on-one, in groups, but we always curate all the programming really to the member needs. Who do you help? Who's our target market and our target audiences? Scale Latino-owned businesses, Latino-owned businesses that are unscaled, corporations, government. But really, really, the primary focus of the work that the Hispanic Chamber in Philadelphia, and I assume the chambers in the session today, are really you're focused on Latino-owned businesses, whether they're scaled or unscaled. And how is it that we reach them? We reach them through newsletters, social media, our partners. We have other organizations that we work closely with that help us reach out to the Latino business community. And we, of course, do calls and we follow up. And so, but primarily, these are the ways in which we reach them. And what is it that we really do, right? We do in-person meetings, we do mixers, we do conferences, we do classes, we run an accelerator, a 7-month-long program that educates Latino-owned businesses, right? And what do we need in order to execute our activities? We need speakers, we need venues, we need curriculum, we need strong communications platforms so we can get our information out. We need business experts, right? Because we are a small organization, so we need to know attorneys, and we need to know marketing specialists, and we need to know insurance specialists, and we need to have bankers and CDFIs in our network. And so we need to assemble lenders and capital providers in order to be able to create the programming, right? Who helps you? Who helps the chamber? Who helps the Hispanic Chamber create the programming and deliver the programming? Well, in Philadelphia, we rely a lot on Finanta, which is our CDFI. We rely a lot on the Whitener University Small Business Development Center. We rely a lot on commercial quarter managers in the Latino community. We work very closely with the Mexican consulate, and you may have in your community many other partners that help you recruit businesses, that help you deliver the services, right? Who helps us? Banking partners, communication. So we have a lot of our members, corporate members, that help us also provide content and education and coaching to our members. Generally, you know, when we create our events and when we execute the events, we make money through ticket sales, through sponsorships, through memberships. We also apply for grants. We happen to be a 501c3 organization, so we're eligible for a lot of grants and funding. And we also have fee-for-service contracts with the city of Philadelphia, for example. And when we're doing all of these activities, of course, there's a cost structure. You know, you need to rent a space, you need to buy food for catering, you need to pay for Uber or travel expenses, or if you're bringing a speaker from outside, you need to pay for the hotel, and then there's always advertising. So this is the traditional model that the Hispanic Chamber uses, right? But under COVID, there are a number of red flags, right? So you'll see here the things that the red flags in terms of how much will you make? Well, if the Hispanic Chamber cannot do in-person events, can we charge ticket sales? Can we really get sponsors if we're not going to do our annual meeting in person, or we're not going to do our big fundraiser, for example? Can we continue charging membership fees? The reality is that a lot of Latino-owned businesses are small and they are struggling, and they might not be in a position to pay a $250, $500, $700 fee, right? So these items that I'm circling are the items that are red flags, that are the items that are going to present a challenge for us if we are going to be able to sustain and be successful and really overcome the issues that COVID presents. So we started thinking internally, I'm like, how can we really take those red flags and deal with them? How can we do this within the constraint? What do we need to eliminate from our programs? What do we need to add? Where's their good news? Where's the bad news? So bad news are the red flags. Good news, in my opinion, and the way that we found out, is the cost of providing a lot of the new services that we're providing now are really low cost. We no longer need to rent space. We don't need to pay for travel expenses. We don't need to pay for food, right? But of course, there are gonna be some, I would say some trade-offs. So let's start. So we have the original canvas with the original model, and you see the red flags. And now we're looking at, okay, what does the Hispanic Chamber do? We continue to promote Latino-owned businesses. We provide them with the access to tools and networks and resources they need to scale. But the difference is, how do we interact? Well, the majority of the interactions in the past were in person. Well, right now, they're gonna be virtual. So the in-person challenge, we eliminated. We still can do one-on-one. We can still do groups. We can still continue to curate the content. So that doesn't change. The only thing is we need to now pivot to do things virtually. In order to do them virtually, what do we need? That was another red flag, because we needed speakers, we needed venues, we needed all sorts of things. Well, right now we no longer need a venue. The venue is virtual. We do need speakers. We need more content than previously, and we perhaps need new content given that the businesses now have a little bit of a different need. So we really concentrated in getting our virtual, readiness. Really, the staff had to learn how to use Zoom. We needed to make determinations. Are we going to use Zoom? Are we going to use WebEx? So all of those things needed to be sorted out. We needed to pay for the service. The staff needed to learn how to produce events, right? Just like, Hispanic Chamber has had to learn how to produce events. And so we also decided that geography was no longer a real obstacle. Now we can bring people from anywhere around the country or even the world to participate in our events. So in terms of capturing and bringing the best talent to provide services to our members, that was no longer an obstacle. Now they're ready. Scheduling them is really not as a challenge as it was in the past. How do we do it? Of course, video, virtual, right? How much will it cost? That is where the big smiley face comes in. An event that used to cost the chamber $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, a conference that we used to do now costs us virtually nothing, right? It just means a lot of effort, a lot of planning and execution, but because it's virtual, we're not buying food, we're not renting a venue, right? And how much will we make? That's where things are still a little bit challenging, because one of the things that we find is that paying for virtual content is hard. A lot of people think that everything that is virtual needs to be free, right? So really the challenge there is, can we really partner with our corporate sponsors, with our government? Can we get grants if you're a 501c3 to pivot and create content and really deliver this content at free or very little cost to your members and to the Latino community, right? And who do you need to do this? You need your regular partners. But one thing we've learned is that we really needed to invest in having a very strong social media and communications platform. So one of the things that we did is we contacted, we had to hire a communications consultant, and we had to partner with one of the larger branding and marketing agencies that are providing pro bono service to the chamber to help us with the programming. One of the things that we did, and we can go to the next slide, is that we decided all of these programs and the way that we're pivoting, how do we communicate that to the external audience? And so that's when we came with the idea of creating the campaign, the R+ campaign, which we just had a brainstorming session of what do we call this? How do we package it so that we can communicate more efficiently with the outside world, with our funders and with their corporate members? And we said, let's call it the Recalibrate, Retool, Restart campaign. We have one of our pro bono graphic designer that created a logo. And so we said, okay, let's put this thing together and create a pitch deck. So next slide, you're gonna see how it went. So we create a tagline. The Recalibrate, Retool, Restart campaign. The reason that the Hispanic Chamber has created it is because we know that reopening under the normal will require more than just turning on the lights. There will be a lot of requirements, not only from federal, local, state health authorities, but your employees, Latino-owned businesses, their employees and their customers will have very specific expectations about how the business should be conducted. And that is all going to be very complicated. And knowing that Latino businesses tend to be smaller than the general business, that other businesses, they will need a lot of technical assistance. Next. So what about the campaign? The idea is to help Latino-owned businesses successfully recover from the impact of COVID-19 has had in their businesses by providing, again, the tools, the know-how, and resources that will help them reimagine and recalibrate their business models so that they may reintegrate into the economy and operate profitable businesses in the new normal. So if you recall from the business canvas model, this is basically the same thing the chamber has always done. We just sort of managed the language a little bit, and we sort of refocused our mission around helping the businesses recover from COVID-19. Next. So what are the campaign elements? This is the work that the chamber has done for many, many years. We just realign it and rebranded it under this new Recalibrate, Retool, Restart campaign. We do education and technical assistance. We do access to capital. We do policy advocacy and communications. So all of this is just recentered around helping Latino-owned businesses recover. The one thing that we created new under access to capital is we created an R+ grant fund, grant relief fund. And so we have, collected about $15,000, $16,000 that we are going to be re-granting to Latino-owned businesses in the community. So that's a new element. But other than that, we continue to do the policy advocacy. We have beefed up and increased our communications, and we continue to provide education and technical assistance. In this case, it's more centered around the needs that Latino-owned businesses have today. Next. And so what are the specific elements? We created, and again, this is work that you are already doing. You just need to, in some ways, repackage it and make it a little bit sleeker so that your funders and your corporate partners will say, oh, this is what they're doing to help Latino businesses under COVID-19. So we created a weekly sessions that we call it Resolve It in 30. These are 30-minute Zoom calls with our members in which we bring our corporate partners. Remember those partners that are supposed to be sponsoring your in-person events that you're no longer hosting? Well, guess what? These corporate partners can continue funding and supporting your work, in this case, online. So Resolve It in 30 in this case is being, now we have some sponsors for this initiative, and every week we do a very timely 30-minute session on very narrow topics, whether it is applying for the PPP loan or how to put your business online or how to file an insurance claim if there was civil unrest in your community. Then what we have done with those sessions, we record them and now we place them on a video library. So now there's a second product that you create out of those sessions. It does not cost you anything. It's just a matter of organizing it in your website, having a channel on YouTube, and just connecting them both. We created, one of the things that we know is that restaurants in the Latino community are suffering incredibly, as restaurants around the country have been. And so we decided, how can we immediately help Latino-owned businesses, particularly restaurants? We created a campaign that we called Dine Latino Takeout Weekend. And it's just about promoting takeout and delivery of Latino-owned businesses. The restaurants would just fill out a form to enroll, and all we would do is just promote them on weekends. And this was especially important at the time in which indoor dining was not possible. Next. We host an annual conference called Closing the Gap. Well, this year we created Closing the Gap virtual edition, and we call it the Recalibrate Retool edition. Again, the work that we always do, we just rebranded it under this platform. I mentioned the Small Relief Business Fund, and this week we do have a new initiative that we're calling Dine Latino Restaurant Week. In many of our communities, typically during Hispanic Heritage Month, we're celebrating with parades and big gatherings and big festivals. That's no longer possible. So we felt that there was an opportunity here to fill the void and fill the gap and do a restaurant week. That way we can still celebrate our culture. In this case, we're celebrating it through food. Again, you know, this is a very easy thing that you can package, and you can get your continuous, your corporate sponsors that would have sponsored other events to sponsor this. Next. And so then this pitch session says, how can you support? You can enroll if you're a business in our programs. If you're a restaurant, you can enroll in Dine Latino Takeout Weekend campaign, or you can enroll in the restaurant week. You can volunteer, and you can be an expert that will help. If you're an attorney and can provide pro bono services, you tell your law firms, provide, you know, there's a lot of businesses that need to negotiate the leases with their landlords under these circumstances. They can provide pro bono services for that. You know, if you have graphic designers or artists or photographers in your network, tell them that in exchange for sponsorship, you know, they can provide pro bono services, and you will expose their business to the larger community, which is some of the work we have done. So for example, we have a couple of consultants that do restaurant consulting and social media and marketing consulting. And what we told them is, if you are willing to help the Hispanic Chamber do that, we will promote your business, and we will create certain sessions for you to teach others and to expose your business. And we got them to sign up. Next. And finally, we close with, you know, we thank people, and we say, you know, you can always, you know, connect with us during the PhilaHispanicChamber.org. And basically what I'm showing you is the pitch that we created. We presented this pitch to our community at our annual meeting, and we received really positive feedback. We have, to this point, we have been asked by 4 institutions to submit proposals for them to invest in the R+ campaign. And actually AT&T has joined and has supported it. Bank of America has just approved a grant for the program. Coca-Cola is actually a sponsor of the Dine Latino Restaurant Week initiative. So it has been, you know, pretty great for us. And just, again, it's a matter of repackaging a lot of the work that you already do.
Awesome. Jennifer, you basically met all our expectations. Thank you for such a wonderful explanation, presentation. You brought us home. We have one more speaker. I just want to get this out there. Okay, I know, Hopi, you wanted me to keep this nice and tight, but what we're all doing here is learning. It was Abraham Lincoln back in the day that would say, give me 7 hours to chop a tree, and I'll invest the first 6 in sacarle filo al hacha, sharpening my saw. That's what we're doing. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that amazing presentation. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
You bet, man. All right, guys, last but not least, I hope I say this correctly. I know that sometimes as a Latino, I tend to chop things up, okay? We have Shannon Jacks. She's the vice president of this is the word that I chop up, the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce. Her topic today is planning, marketing, and networking. Shannon Jacks, are you out there, girl?
I am, and you actually got Albuquerque right, but the last name is Hawkes. The J is silent. Jaramillo, so.
Don't blame me for being Latino, girl. I knew I was going to chop one of the two, Hawkes or Jacks or Albuquerque.
Right? But you got Albuquerque right, so that's a good start. Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and as always, thank you so much to Hope and team at Coca-Cola, and of course the USHCC, Ramiro and team, everybody behind the scenes. It was a great conference, and having to adjust, I think everybody's done a wonderful job. And again, I thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to it. So I wanted to touch base with you a little bit. My name is Shannon Hawkes. I am the vice president of the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber. And as our president likes to say, I'm president of everything chamber. And so we do a lot here at the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber. So we're gonna play a little bit on what we're really, really good at. And that tends to be events, marketing, and networking. And that is something that our membership tends to really, really enjoy about what they get with us. Tweaked it a little bit because we are living in this crazy virtual world, but a lot of stuff that we've done previously was already set in place for the virtual reality that we are now really living in. So I wanted to start with just some fun little key points. I was doing a little bit of research, kind of updating a somewhat put together program, if you will. And we were kind of noticing what was happening out there in the virtual world. And, you know, Eventbrite says that their online events have increased by 1,100%. Now, obviously that makes total sense in the COVID world that we're living in, but think about that. That is absolutely crazy. Then I sit back and I look at ours and we've gone 100% virtual. And so I guess it kind of makes sense. But what's really great is it seems like technology is keeping up with the platform. So we've been okay so far. Also did a little research and found this great little company called Indigo Slate. And what I thought was really cool about what they were talking about is, you know, we're going through this really spectacular sociology experience, but we're basically getting a crash course in digital. And what does that mean? Digital connection. And so that leads me to what USA Today had in an article recently that basically said, we're finally connecting the Gen Zs, the millennials, to the baby boomers, and why not take advantage of this opportunity that we all have to share with each other, learn from each other, grow from each other. The baby boomers bring experience, the millennials bring technology, and we meet somewhere in the middle. So how do we make that work? Well, we do what we do best, events, marketing, and networking. That's what chambers do anyway, so we're excited about that. So the only way to work, I don't know, yeah, there we go, thank you. I'm not sure who's controlling the slides. But the way that we work is, the only way to do great work is love what you do. And it's so important that I say that all the time. I love what we do at the chamber. I love what I do. I love what our staff does. And I hope that you guys do too, that during this time, you've really picked out the key people that are amazing at things we didn't know they were great at. And we've given them all this kind of openness to be who they are and expand their horizons. And we've worked a little bit outside of job descriptions during this time. We have a robust staff. We're normally a staff of about 22 to 24. And during this time, we've kind of down to about the 14 or 15 person. And so for us, because we're very event heavy, network heavy, marketing heavy in what we do here in Albuquerque and around the state, we've really appreciated this and really appreciated seeing our staff rise to the occasion. So that's been really, really exciting. And why is the staff important? Because we do a lot of events. And so what we want to talk about a little bit today is about brand awareness, because that's still prevalent regardless of virtual. We want to talk about fundraising and what are some options and what are we doing out there. And then we're going to talk about celebration and recognition. And we always say around here, if it doesn't make dollars, it don't make sense. We are nonprofit, we are here to make money, and it's okay to be, to want to make money for our chambers. We always want to give back, so we need that support in the community. So let's talk a little bit about living in this crazy virtual world. I want to start with brand awareness. Now, we've had to adjust. I'm not sure how you guys have been doing things out there across the country, but for sure here in Albuquerque, we've had to adjust. And what does that mean? That means that we've had to go virtual on a lot of the events, but what doesn't change is the brand awareness. Whether you're out there in social media, whether you're using TV or website branding, or what is it that you can do within the means of what your chamber allows budget and all of that good stuff. What does that mean? Well, for us, our brand is huge. You know, we're lucky to be the largest chamber in the state. We're a large Hispanic chamber. We have a 22,000 square foot campus. And those are the things that we want to be remembered for. When they think of where can I go for this help, we want to be thinking of the Hispano. And one of the ways that we do that is through brand awareness. Now, when it comes to events, we do that regularly, but when it comes to event brand awareness, we have some things that are really important to us. And one of those is our Hispanic Heritage Awards, which just happens to be this month coming up in October. And we're going to be doing a hybrid, a half person, half virtual. We're still working through the details, but that's something new for us because that means that our content is heavy in the beginning, whereas usually days of events we're super busy that day. So it's really spread the way that we work with our team a little bit different, because we're staying busier now than we ever did before, but it's the same amount of work getting done. It's just the way that it's being spread out. And one of those is when it comes to event, what are we doing to brand the event? So what we make sure that no matter what we're doing is anything that we're doing within the event, it could be the invitation, marketing for social media, marketing for any TV or commercial spots that you might do, any kind of magazine, any kind of slide decks or presentations during the event, that we are using the same marketing in some way, shape, or form. And so that's what this slide is about. Does your event meet your branding goal? What are you doing to make sure that no matter what they go and they say, oh, that's the Albuquerque Hispanos Hispanic Heritage Awards, I recognize that brand. And so we stay really steady to that. The next point when it comes to brand awareness, number 2, choosing what's important to your chamber. Now here at the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber, we do 6 branded events a year. Those are what we call our signature events, very separate of our membership events. We have a membership team that does their events, their networking and all that stuff. We're talking about our 6 signature events. And I bring those up because, again, we go back to the dollars. What are these events doing to bring dollars, and how are we making sure that that brand is working for the chamber, the Hispano Chamber? Our gala is our biggest fundraiser. That's the only fundraiser we do a year that brings dollars into the chamber. So we know off the bat that's our organization fundraiser. We focus on that. Then we have our education awards, golf tournaments, Hispanic Heritage Awards, etc. Those are ones that we make sure brand the chamber brand. That's the most important there. So kind of figuring out what's too much, what's not enough for your chamber, what works for your chamber, making sure not to overextend, but most important, branding those. These events for us have been going on anywhere from 35 to 45 years. So we've been so lucky to have that brand in the community. And then number 3, what sets your brand apart? What are you doing separately within that event to keep things, hey, exciting and want to come back next year and see what they do? So for instance, with our Hispanic Heritage Awards, I use that because it's Hispanic Heritage Month, but also because that's a consistent brand for us. We don't change that brand, it stays every year. We might update the graphic a little bit, maybe update the content or the presentation a little bit, the entertainment, but the brand really, really stays the same. So does the creativity brand your event? And in this case, I would say yes. So finding your signature events, branding those, keeping consistent with just a little few updates here and there throughout the years. The next thing I want to touch on is funding through events, because events are obviously so important to what we do in the chamber world, but it's the second most common reason why people do events. I mean, think about sometimes we do events, we don't make any money, but we do it for brand recognition for the chamber. We need to do those community things that maybe aren't driving the dollars, but they're putting our name out into the community. These events are the ones that are funding and driving dollars into the chamber from the community. And these don't change during COVID. This is still what you have to do to brand, whether you're doing your event in person, live, or virtual. We're still doing the same thing. So how important is funding through events to your organization? For us, those 6 events we just talked about are extremely important to what we do here at the organization. So what do we do to meet those goals? So for example, we have a goal, let's say 250,000. Of course, this isn't a perfect world. We have a whole year to plan. We have a 10-person staff and an unlimited budget. We wish, but we want to start with those high goals because, you know, it's okay if we don't meet that bar, but we're going to aim for the stars. We're going to aim for the ceiling because we want to do the best event that we can, and we want to raise the most money that we can for the chamber. So one thing that we have found that works really, really well is looking at our organizational budget. And this really helps with your brand awareness too. So we could, go to the next slide. So what we tend to do is we have a really nice budget sheet. We do a really great charter. We make sure that everybody's on the same page that's on staff. And then we sit down and we look at what does that budget do to our annual budget within the chamber? And do we have the money the funding to brand, whether that is through TV, whether that is through newspaper or magazine, and of course, social media, website, all that fun stuff. So we kind of break it down and we say, wow, in this case, 20% of our annual budget is going to go to this event. That's very important. That's a huge percentage. It has to happen. And so we make sure that we have that budget set aside to do a little bit of non-traditional branding. It's kind of difficult sometimes being a chamber to buy ads and be out on TV, but we try to do as much earned media as possible, especially now during COVID, with unique ways that people are, doing great things in the community, PPE drives and all that kind of fun stuff. But we try to do a lot of partnerships, trades, and of course, some earned media. The next slide will show us how we can increase our bottom dollar. Does the event brand bring the creativity? That brings the people, that brings the dollars. So our big event that we do every year, which is our gala, that is our biggest fundraiser. And so that is an event that is branded because it's La Noche Encantada, but the theme changes every year. So how we build our funding, how we position ourselves to increase our funding is, what is the wonderful new theme for the year? How are we doing that? And so what's really, really exciting about that is every year our board chair gets to pick a theme, and then we build around that theme. What does that mean? So this is an example of the last 3 years' themes that we have had. And so we really work hard to look within that budget to see what we can do to put out these types of branded commercials, TV, print ads, to really go, hey, that's the Hispano, that's La Noche. And so the branding here is a little bit different because it's a different theme every year, but the gala, which has been branded for over 40 years as La Noche Encantada, is a brand that's recognized in this community. Okay, oh, we can skip that. Oh, I don't know if it'll play. If it'll play, it's only 30 seconds.
Roaring 20s, La Noche Encantada, February 8th, featuring an incredible Putting on the Ritz show. Get your tickets today by calling 842-9003, the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce.
So that would be an example of making sure that we have the budget to produce the commercial, to put it out to the world, because it is our biggest fundraiser. We need to go the extra mile. But again, if you notice, the La Noche branding was everywhere, and all we did was change up the theme, which we do every year on that. So I want to talk a little bit about celebration and recognition, because we all know as chamber leaders how important it is to make sure that we are branding and that we are celebrating and recognizing. And so there's a couple of things that I think are important to go over in this topic. How important is this to your organization? And is it necessary to support your mission? So for instance, we do, let's see, an education awards celebration every year. We give out scholarships, and this really is part of our mission. So it's required, it's basically part of what we do. So it's extremely important to the mission, so we have to accomplish it. And we do it a lot through outreach. We bring the community together. We have an education committee that actually vets through students who apply for the scholarships, and we really make a big deal about it. We bring in the TV stations, we bring in the colleges, we bring in the high schools, and we say, let us help put scholarships in the hands of our future Hispanic leaders in our community. We want them to go to school. We want them to get that education, open. That's very, very important to our mission, and that's why it's one of our signature events. Do these events help or hurt your budget? And the important, I guess the important point to that is a lot of these events do not help the budget. Like I said, for us, we do one fundraiser a year, but these are necessary to the mission that we do. So what are some things we can do to offset some of those costs? We can raise money through our annual fundraiser. We can reach out for sponsorships. And sponsorships, we're building relationships. We don't want to just pick up the phone and cold call and say, hey, Coca-Cola, can you send me some money? It's how are those relationships over the year, and what do those look like when we're reaching out for specifics? Something we've done here at the Chamber that I've been working on for a couple of years, and we finally have reached and went to that level, is a year-round partnership. So instead of reaching out for every event or going, oh, I need them for this event or a golf or whatever it is, now we package everything together. And the beginning of the year, we call up and say, this is what we have. Or, you know, before fiscal year ends, we try to get into the budgets of the larger corporations and companies. And so that really, really has helped us out. And then number three, the dollars versus the accomplishments. Do you lose money? But you need to do it. And so one of those is, yes, we're a chamber. We do membership events that probably don't drive a lot of money, but they brand us in the community. We do, you know, networking that brands us in the community. It doesn't necessarily bring dollars, but it really is important to what we do in the organization. It really helps to brand us, which is extremely important. Key points for events. So the first one is, don't get caught up in the details. Plan your event, get a great team around you, ask for volunteers, create a committee, whatever that may be. But don't get caught up in the details, because as leaders, I tend to get caught up in the details. But if you have people that you trust, that you can delegate and spread the work around, it's pretty exciting to see all of the brain power come together and create something really amazing. But always put the most important key person in marketing, the one that's going to go the extra mile on social media, the extra mile on the website, that's going to look to see how they can get some earned media. That is the person you need, even if it's a volunteer. That's the person you need. Always be smart about what you're doing, and we use the SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely. And we use organizational charts and charters. This allows for accountability no matter the project. It doesn't just have to be an event, it could be any special project that we're doing. And then an assessment. You know, events, it's not over at midnight. You have to continue the work. You have to start the day after to build for the next year. That might be thank yous, that might be reach outs, that might be communications throughout the year, but we always are looking for ways to improve for the next time that we do the event. And my most important thing that I like to say is always build your team on their strengths. Let them shine. During COVID, we've done some fun stuff and realized we have this great team that's been really, really amazing about shining. And so some of the cool things that we've done during COVID, I think might be on the next page. Actually, this is a little slide on event marketing. I'm going to have all of this available for you guys. We'll make sure that you get it. But I think we can keep going. We'll skip this slide. We'll skip this one. This talks about marketing. Here is my hashtags. And I did this last year, and I was so excited because it's so important, especially now with COVID, and we're living in this world. And we didn't think back then that this was going to be important. But one thing that we did this year was, I'm talking like on March 15th, the day that we came back after our governor closed our state that Monday, what are we going to do? And the first thing we said is the Hispano has to help. The Hispano has to help the community. And immediately we that hashtag, the Hispano helps, and that has been our hashtag the last 6 months. And if you Google it, or if you Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever you're doing, we're everywhere. And that is because we've tried really, really hard to put together all kinds of programs. We've been using our commerce, community, and culture hashtag, our one room at a time, helping convention and tourism, hospitality industry that has suffered during this time. And then our cover up mask up, which has been the latest and greatest. We put it on a bunch of masks and got them out to the community through our PPE office. And so we're looking to make sure that that branding continues, because, you know, during this time, chambers need to pivot. We need to be relevant. We have to figure out where our heart is and how we move forward. The community needs to pivot because they need to rebuild. That's like the big, big thing right now. And leadership needs to pivot because we need to lead. So we're all learning that P word that everybody hates. And I love it. I was doing an interview yesterday, and the moderator says to me, I spell COVID P-I-V-O-T. And I just love that. And it made all the sense in the world, because every day is a new pivot. And so just a couple of quick things that we've done during COVID that I'd like to share with you guys. We created a Ready to Open and Open Together initiative. We have made sure that businesses are staying safe, they're following best practices with each other, and they're using the marketing tools that we offer. Because here you go, we're a chamber, we have a platform, we have IT, and are they using it? So we've used this opportunity to really increase and build our IT platform, the users on our platform, because it comes with the membership. And then we've created a digital package for them, and we do advocacy. We teamed up with a local TV station to get them on to talk about their reopening plans and that kind of fun stuff. And we also created a webinar series that we do twice a week for the past 6 months. And every month we change the theme. Of course, it was COVID heavy in the beginning, but this month is our cultural month, Cultura y Herencia, because it's Hispanic Heritage Month. And so every month we're changing that up. And then the big thing that we've done is worked within the PPE world. We've partnered with some great local companies and some national companies, and we've provided supplies. We continue to do so today to make sure that every small business has unlimited, as long as we have it, they have it. Masks, sanitizers, gloves, antibacterial, whatever they need, they just come to our office and they're able to pick that up. So those are some of the ways that we branded during this COVID crazy time. There's also a slide. The next slide is going to talk to you a little bit about digital marketing, and I think we can skip that, but this is all about social media, the importance of how we're branding across platforms. That's super important. Our current marketing manager is even doing some Snapchat and working on TikTok, and I'm all learning all these great new things because this is where we're finding our new members. You know, membership is tough during this time. So where are we finding the people that would like to join our family? It's generally through this time. And then networking, oh my goodness, networking is super important. Learning how to network on a Zoom chat is crazy, but we do it, and we're learning the rules. We're creating rules as we go along, and we're learning to let others talk, and we're learning how to mute, and we're learning how to video mute and all this fun stuff. But I think what's so important is we miss the human connection. And so I'm one that can't wait to get back where we can hug people and say, it's great to see you. I hope to see all you guys next year. But we've even done things like, because we're trying to start slowly reopening. So our marketing manager came up with a plan to use bands when we get into events, so that depending on the color of band, you're allowing the space for what people need. You know, green is, a handshake, yellow is like a hug, red is like, I need my space. And so we're just trying to be really creative in the way that we help move the membership back to what they're asking for, which is events. And that's literally where it comes back to. And then in closing, we talked about this last year, but I just love it because this has become more important now more than ever inside of COVID, is how are you pitching the chamber? It's so super important. We have such a short amount of time, especially on virtual. It's not like when you can be in a room and have 30 conversations going on around you. This really just is about, you have less than a minute to talk about who you are. So I've worked on it, our team has worked on it, our members are working on it, and I use this regularly for new members to say, let us help you create a 1 minute or less, and I stress or less pitch. These are 7 really short things that you can do to really round out the best pitch that you can and really sell your business. And we do the same here within the Chamber of Commerce. And so it was a short time today. I wish we had more time, but I'm so thankful to you guys. I'm thankful to Coca-Cola, and of course thankful to the USHCC. I've really enjoyed my time, and I hope you guys have too. And I hope that we can all hug and be together next year.
All right. Amazing presentation, Shannon. 3 things that stuck in my mind real quick. You spoke about recognition. Babies cry for it. Adults die for it. You spoke about networking. If you're not networking, you're not working. And you spoke about La Noche Encantada. Yo estoy encantado. Listen, fue un encanto, really. What I wanted to say is, before I pass the microphone to Hope Field, I wanted to tell you that que fue un encanto, right, in Spanish. There's my Latinness. to be with all of you guys here today. Thank you, Esperanza, for inviting me. Thank you, USHCC. Thank you, Coca-Cola, for inviting me. And to all of you that have been present here, it's been a humbling experience to be in your presence. Thank you so much. Hopefield, take it away, girl.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much to all the instructors. Thank you to Milton. Before we completely close out the training and move on to the networking, we are going to open it up for 10 minutes of Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, there is a reaction button on the bottom right of your screen. And if you see this thumbs up sign, just give us the thumbs up. That means that you have a question. And Brianna is on the line. She's going to facilitate this process.
Perfect.
And it could be a question for any of the speakers.
Perfect. If you have a question, you can physically raise your hand or use the reaction button to do a little emoji, and we'll call on you.
No, the trick or treat bless. Thank you.
Let's see. Any questions? Let's see. Oh, okay. Elizabeth, let me see. Boop.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I apologize. I was a little late. I don't have a question, but I want to say thank you, Shannon. That was a great presentation. Hope and Coca-Cola, all of you've done great. Jennifer, I love being here with all of you virtually. Can't wait till 2021 when we could finally hug each other. And by the way, that Noche Encantada, I've been to it a couple of times. Hope you've been there. It's a great event. So thank you, everybody. That's all I had to say. Thank you to the chambers. Great training. Usually this is a whole day thing. I'm glad Hope made it small this year because we're all on Zoom and we're getting ready to go on to the networking with our favorite Coca-Cola beverages, I'm sure.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, yes. Here we go. Rick. Let's see. Trying to unmute you, Rick. You might have to hit unmute. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Hope. Thank you, Coca-Cola. And thank you, USHCC, for doing this. I do have one quick question for Raul, if possible. Going back to your presentation regarding governance and the committees, I noticed you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 committees in there: executive, finance, nomination, governance, audit, risk management, and personnel. And as a Hispanic chamber, we sometimes can tend to be a little limited in resources, obviously. So that obviously would involve 6 committees that involve resources to operate. Would it be possible, would you recommend if to sort of consolidate some of this to maybe put risk management and personnel under governance?
Yeah, in fact, I think that's true. They do serve different functions, and thank you very much, Rick, for the question. But if you're limited on board members, you can only diversify so much. But the personnel function is, I think, one of the most unstated potential liabilities here. We are facing, certainly out here in California and throughout the country, tremendous employment law change that could put any for-profit or nonprofit underwater. And so the HR function typically does go under a governance or it becomes a subcommittee. Because you're dealing with persons' personnel information, you keep it confidential. So you want to have somehow a subsector of that. But you can certainly wrap any number of those, even the finance can go into the executive committee and drop it down. But you could probably combine several of those committees into about 2 or maybe 3. 3 would probably be ideal, is what I would say. It really depends on what works for the chamber. Thank you for the question, Rick.
Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question. I'm looking for hands or emojis.
Hi everyone. My question is the last on speaker. When she was talking about presentation, I have a big problem here is about video. I have all these great stuff that we've done, and my problem is putting everything on video, how to do it professionally. And this is the area that I need help doing. By the way, my logo you see back here, I want to publicly say thank you to Inca Cola, the only cola and Coca-Cola that sponsored to make this banner when we started in 2005. So thank you, Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola for sponsoring our banner. Just want to show off. But that's the problem. We need help in our chamber because we don't have the fundings to get somebody professional to put all our work on video. How can I get like the resources, the fundings to just focus to get all our work on video and do
That's
it
a great question. Thanks, Reverend. Either Shannon or maybe Esperanza.
Well, it's different ways to find a sponsorship to do that, but also if you have any members that specialize in video, they can help. But if you call me, I see how can I help you. I have different resources that I'm willing to help you, Carmen. You know that. You're my pal for many years.
You're my mentor, Esperanza. You opened doors when I came out, you know, being a lesbian, because a lot of people homophobic, and I want to say publicly, Esperanza, thank you. With the, you know, with our chamber that don't understand that we are all, you know, we are the same as you. I don't look at anybody. I look at you as a business person. So I thank you, Esperanza, publicly for being my mentor. You're like a mom to me, you know, so thank you. Publicly, thank you.
But maybe China can give her an advice as well.
So I was going to say the same thing. Well, first of all, Esperanza's like all our mamas. So I'm going to say that for sure. She's definitely an inspiration. But yeah, I'm going to put my information in the chat as well, Carmen. And I think that we can probably have a conversation. I can come up with a few ideas. There's some unique ways to do outreach and great ways to partner within the community that we've learned over the years, that a lot of things we didn't even know existed. But I'm so happy to go over that with you. You know, that's something I love to do. So perfect.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm handing it back.
By the way, I get jealous with all of you, okay? So I get jealousy when I don't hear from y'all. Just want to let you all know that I got you all here. Just know that I love all of you, okay? And I miss y'all.
Thank you.
Love you, Rev.
Handing it back to Ms. Hopefield.
Thank you for those questions and for the answers. That's why we're here, to help each other, to network, and to help the chamber and business community move forward. So I'm very happy to see the engagement and the enthusiasm that everyone has. Again, I want to thank Christina, Raul, Esperanza, and we have Jennifer and Shannon for your wonderful presentations, and Milton for being our host today. Great job.
Thank you, girlie. Appreciate you.
Yes, thank you. So this concludes the training portion. We're going to move forward now, and we're going to stay right on this Zoom call for the networking portion. I would recommend that you all change your views to gallery view so that we can all see each other. So you're not just seeing the person who's speaking, you're seeing everybody on the screen. It'll be on the upper right-hand corner. And what we're going to do is we will, everyone will have 60 seconds to give your elevator speech. So just your name, your chamber, your role with the chamber, and that's it. So in 60 seconds, just a little bit about yourself. We want to make sure that we stay within the hour. So if anyone goes over their minute that's allotted to them, we won't end in time. So I ask you all that if you could please stay to it so we can hear who's in the room, and this way we can network with each other. And so I'm going to allow Brianna, she's going to go ahead and call each person one by one. But before we do that, we're going to have some networking remarks from the President of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, my dear friend Ramiro.
Wow. Well, what a great presentation. Thank you all so much, all of the presenters. This was very educational. We're here to support each other. Solidarity is important. I think you just saw, Hope, that Esperanza, your mother, is everybody's mother. And so you've got a lot of brothers and sisters. And I just want to say that we have a big family at the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and it's really through our biggest strength, and that's the love we have for one another to make ourselves better and to lift up our community. And that's what powers us every day at the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, helping us help each other. And it gives me great pride. And thanks to each of you, our board members, our new chair, Alice Rodriguez, of course, Raul and Jennifer, who presented today. For us, we do this because it's an important economic asset for our future economy. So muchísimas gracias a todos. Hope, thank you, and Coca-Cola for being a member of our chambers. I know for us since the very beginning. So muchísimas gracias. And Elizabeth, great to have you on the call with Inca Cola and everyone. We're so blessed. And thank you to our staff at the chamber. Brianna, you're a diamond. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Ramiro. I'm going to go down the list, everyone, and click Ask to Unmute. You may have to unmute yourself as well, but I'm just going to go on the list that it's showing, which is alphabetical, and you have your 1 minute to share with us a little bit about where you're calling from and your chamber. So, Alberto, since you're the A's, you're starting us off. Alberto Maria.
Yes. Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm missing you guys because, you know, for the last, I think, 4 years, we spent a really good time. So my name is Alberto Marino, representing the Northern Virginia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Alberto. Alejandro Cos.
Well, I was afraid that I was going to be next. Hello, everyone. Great to see you virtually. Sorry that we were not able to meet this year at the convention, but I'm hoping the next year we'll be able to do it in some nice city. Hopefully, I will be able to see all of you in person. My name is Alejandro Cos, President and CEO of the Latin American Chamber of Commerce of Georgia. And we help Latinos and Latinas start businesses, grow businesses, and we've been around for about 22 years. And it's a pleasure to be here. I don't want to take too much of the time, so thank you.
Thank you, Alejandro. Miss Annette Soto Landeros.
Hello, everyone. Annette Landeros from the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. This has been such an energizing session. Thank you so much. Been taking notes feverishly, and I appreciate all of you. And I hope you're all hanging in there. And I know that everyone's doing good work for the small business community. So I'm just very inspired by everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Angelique Baca. Let me see if I can unmute her. Can you hear us, Angelique? There you go.
I can hear her on the phone. I can hear her. She's in the office on the other side, so she's on the phone right now.
Okay, no problem. Bailey, our newest intern at the USHCC. Go ahead, Bailey.
Hi, my name is Bailey Hollingsworth. I'm a sophomore at Harvard, currently doing a little bit of Zoom University. And it was great to hear all of the speakers. I really enjoyed learning everything and soaking it all up. Hopefully in my future business endeavors, I can incorporate all of your great advice. So it's great to see you all. And yeah.
Thank you for all your help in planning everything, Bailey. Barbara De Luca.
Aloha y hola a todos. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Barbara De Luca, president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in Hawaii, and we thought there was a large void here. There's over 153,000 Hispanics across our island, so we organized in September of 2019, actually September 15th, so what a great day to celebrate our first year. And we are a 501c3, so this has been very helpful. And actually tomorrow, I have on the call today on Zoom is Marisol Ruiz, our vice president, and board member John Cruz. So tomorrow we're going to debrief and have a Zoom meeting and, you know, go over what we learned today. So my biggest takeaway though was how I spell COVID is P-I-V-O-T. I love it. Mm-hmm. And I look forward to meeting you guys eventually.
Well, thank you, Barbara, our newest Hispanic Chamber member in Hawaii. We're so glad to have you here with us. Ms. Carolina Rodriguez.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the speakers. It was amazing. I'm a part of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County, and I do especially in performance and entertainment with them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Before we
so much.
continue, Brianna, can we take a picture of everybody? Can everyone turn their cameras on and give us a big smile?
Yes. So there's 2 screens, so everybody hold the smile. Let me see, let me give everyone a second to turn on their cameras. I see a few more popping up. Okay, I'm gonna take the first one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on. And then we gotta do the second screen. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Oh, not as easy as it looks. 1 second. And then let me save that one. Okay, screen 2. So everybody, just in case, 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now Ms. Cristina Martinez. Oh, I'm sorry, that's one of our speakers. Sorry, Cristina. Ms. Cindy Ramos Davidson.
Can you all hear me, see me? How are you? Nice to see everybody. Miss
Yes.
hugging and kissing everybody all the way over here from El Paso, where I can see Juarez right outside my window. Just a little bit quick. Cindy Ramos Davidson, CEO, El Paso Hispanic Chamber. We just celebrated our 30-year anniversary in COVID times. So that's been our celebration. And I know I look like I'm 29, but I was just calculating the years between my time at the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber, the Albuquerque Chamber, the other chamber over here, and this chamber here. 43 years I've been doing chamber work, and I love every minute of it. So thanks for sharing. I learn something new all the time. Take care, everybody.
Right on.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, our next one is Dara Easterson.
Yes. Hi. Hi, Dara Iserson, board member at the Northern Virginia Hispanic Chamber. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for hosting this.
All right, Miss Angelique Baca is back with us. Let me try to unmute you, Angelique.
Hi, everybody. I'm Angelique Baca. I work with the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce as the events and marketing manager. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do for the chamber.
Thank you. Miss Elizabeth Berman.
Buenas tardes, everyone. Oh, so happy to be here. I'm getting my chamber familia fixed today. I love seeing everybody. I wish I could hug you all. I'm praying that by next year we could all be together again. Thank you, Coca-Cola. Thank you, Hope and Ramiro. And this was a wonderful program. I haven't missed a training in years. I'm a former board member of the USHCC, currently a very active member of the Morris County Hispanic American Chamber of Commerce. And since we're going to be having a networking afterwards, I just want to say, try your favorite Coca-Cola beverage. I think it's Inca Cola. I don't know if you could see it, but I'm going to have an Inca Cola with a little bit of rum at our networking afterwards. So great to see you guys, and thank you all for being here.
Liz, this is the networking, and I'm going to have smart water.
Very nice.
My favorite one.
All right.
Cheers. Alberto, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Since I have my Inca Cola, I sent you the picture the other day. I'm going to use that.
Yes.
All right, Miss Itsuri Alacon. Can you hear us?
Yes. Hi.
There we go.
I was invited here for Women's in Leadership, and I am an owner of a chocolate factory, and we have our office in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm a member in San Antonio, Texas. So happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Welcome. It's the chamber Ramiro and I are from, and we're very proud of San Antonio Hispanic Chamber. Ms. Yvette Zavarase. Can you hear us, Yvette? Let's see. Okay, we'll come back to Yvette. Here we go. JJ. Can you hear us, JJ? JJ or Yvette? No? Okay, Mr. Juan Pagan, you're up, sir.
Hi, good afternoon to everybody. Good evening, some people over there. My name is Juan Pagan, president of the Puerto Rican Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Florida Hispanic American Chamber in Palm Beach County. Been with this chamber, I don't know, for 17, 18 years, something like that. The whole idea of working just with big businesses, but also with a small business. Los pequeños negocios siempre necesitan nuestra ayuda y nosotros los necesitamos a ellos. It's been a pleasure being with all of you. Thank you. A lot of valuable information. Thank you, Brianna. Nice meeting you, Hope, and the rest, and Esperanza. A lot of people I don't know yet, but I hope to meet a lot of people like Raul. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan, for all you do with the USHCC. Laura, our newest employee, you're up next.
Oh, well, yes, so I'm the new programs and events coordinator at the USHCC, and I'm so happy to be here. I loved all the presentations. I was telling Brianna that I was part of a board when I used to live in a condo, and I wish I had actually witnessed Esperanza's presentation a few years ago, because I would have done a much better job. But that's certainly, so I really enjoy all your presentations and all the creativity that this involved into really helping your chamber grow. It's amazing. So thank you so much.
Thanks for all your help planning this with Hope, Laura. Marcus Manles. Marcus, can you hear us? I saw him earlier. Okay, he might be on a call. We'll come back to Marcus. Maria Antonia, the one and only.
Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, thank you so very much for the Hispanic Chamber, the United States Hispanic Chamber to do this, and Coca-Cola, and all the wonderful, outstanding presenters. I don't think it could have came at a better time where we're at in our lives as leaders in our chamber. I'm Maria Antunes, the CEO and president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County here in Florida. It has been an absolute pleasure. We were actually supposed to be in my territory, which is Palm Beach County and Boca Raton, doing this event. So I hope in the future I have the opportunity to meet some of you, if not all of you. Please reach out to us if there's anything we can do here in Florida for you. And we mainly focus on educating and empowering businesses. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Marie Garcia. Marie, can you hear us? Okay, we'll come back to Marie. Marilyn Andrade. Marilyn, I think I saw you pop up. Marilyn, can you hear us?
We may need to remind people also, yeah, Brianna, yeah, to unmute themselves.
You might have to unmute yourself. Okay. Marisol Ruiz. I'm going to try Marilyn again because I saw her try to unmute her line. Let's try it again. Marilyn, can you hear us? Testing. Okay.
Marilyn is there. I can see her.
Marilyn, you might be on mute. Okay, we'll come back to Marilyn. Abed Diaz? You there?
Yeah, now. All right.
Oh, there you go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Obed Diaz from the Northern Virginia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm glad to be here, so thank you for the invitation. Great training session.
Thank you for being here. Raul Tejeda.
Hello, nice to be here with everyone. It's been a great afternoon, spending it with so many smart and inspiring people. I am the chairman of the Morris County Hispanic American Chamber of Commerce, and I'm really blessed to have people like Hope and Esperanza and Christina on our chamber, on our board. Elizabeth Berman's a great member, her and her husband, as well as Marilyn. Unfortunately, I believe she's in the car, or she's on audio. She's also a board member, and she's actually a chair for an event that we're running this week. And I'd like to thank Jennifer Rodriguez and the Philadelphia Chamber, because we've kind of piggybacked onto their, with their program running with the Restaurant Week for Hispanic Heritage Month. So it's a great pleasure and it's a privilege. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ralph. Reverend Carmen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Reverend Carmen Hernandez. I am the president and founder of the NYC LGBTQS Chamber, but I'm also the new vice president of the New York State Coalition Hispanic Chamber, which I am the founder of it. And I'm also the first Latina, Puerto Riqueña LGBT to represent in national as well. Also, I'm an advocate and activist on the Soundview section in the Bronx. I'm a youth community pastor. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick Ortiz.
Hi again, thank you so much. Thank you, Hope, Coca-Cola, Ramiro, and the team for USHCC. Thank you for a great opportunity. You know, these are challenging times and we're all in this together. So it really was great information to hear you all talk about how you've pivoted successfully or working to navigate through all of these things. Really appreciate it. And I learned a lot. So I hope to continue to do that. And I hope to continue to connect with all of you. Rick Ortiz, President and CEO of the Greater Dallas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And as I was listening to, I was thinking, you know, Barbara, we should probably come to you when this is all over in Hawaii. You know, that's where the party should be.
Okay, deal.
Great to see you, Rick. Thank you. Ms. Susana Marino.
Buenas tardes a todos. I'm very happy to be here. This was a great session. My name is Susana Marino, and I'm the founding president of the Northern Virginia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And we really are seeking to the participation of more Latinos into the procurement, more procurement opportunities in our region. We are very close to the Washington, D.C. Area, only like 15 miles away. And therefore, the level of exigency, we have a lot of government contractors as part of our members, and therefore, to cater that level of technology and artificial intelligence has a demand for us to create and tailor our events. I am also using this opportunity to invite you all to be with me next week, October 7th at 5 p.m. I am the recipient of the Women Who Mean Business by Washington Business Journal. That event is at 5 p.m. And I'm one of just 2 Latinas out of 25 who received that recognition next week. And I'm very happy to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Susana.
I don't see it over here. Maybe she hit it.
Tony. Oops, did we just see Luz? Tony Flores? Maybe we just.
Right, I won't do it, I guess. Well,
okay.
I do want to do it because.
Yesenia, and I think somebody might need to put their mic on mute. Yesenia Escobedo.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Yesenia Escobedo. I recently founded what is called the U.S. Millennials. It's a nonprofit organization aimed at helping employees in both corporations and Texas workforce. I'm an advocate for small businesses, and I really like giving back to my community. So if you ever want to get in touch and work on something together, I'm very open to that.
Thank you, Yesenia, and for bringing students to the conference. We appreciate it. That was exciting. Mr. Yuri Kunza from our board of directors. Yuri, can you hear us? You might be on mute. Yuri? Okay. All right, did we miss anyone? And my apologies. Just raise your hand or do an emoji reaction. Oh, Marilyn, I'm sorry. Let me see if we can hear you. Are you on mute on your end? Let me see. You're unmuted on ours.
Ya vengo, papacitos. Aaron, ¿tú qué? No, mi amor, yo te dije celular. Ah, ok.
Sorry,
¿Me
Marilyn.
hacen un favor? Me voy a hacer Uber.
Well, hello on Marilyn's behalf. I know she wants to introduce herself. You want to put it in the chat, Marilyn, and I'll read it out loud? I'm so sorry.
It looks like she's still on mute. If you could just unmute her.
Okay, let me try again. Marilyn. Testing. Try it again. Yeah,
And I recommended, Marilyn, I sent you a message to check, click on the mic icon, click again and make sure that you're...
Maybe on your actual keyboard, not just on Zoom. I know that's on some people's computers. Okay, sorry, Marilyn.
Sometimes you need to come out and come back in again, because sometimes it interrupt your speaker.
Sorry, Marilyn. Okay, Ms. Hopefield, I give it back to you.
Thank you. That was so nice to hear all the different states that everyone's from and different chambers that they're a part of.
Say hi to everyone, period.
What's that?
Sorry, that was me trying to call Marilyn so she could at least be through the phone, but we disconnected. She's having technical issues.
Oh, thank you for trying.
So we still have, we have 15 minutes on the clock, and I just want to open the floor. If anybody has anything that they want to bring to the table and discuss with the group, a fun topic maybe, or something exciting they have going on.
Hope, I have something real quick. I just sent to Brianna's email because I cannot figure out how to put it in the chat, but I'll forward it to you. Speaking of branding, my marketing manager heard us doing all this, and she did a great graphic for USHCC and how to spell pivot. So I'm sharing it with you, Hope, and Brianna, and hopes you guys can share that and put it up on the screen. It's perfect.
Sure.
It's apropos for where we are right now in our country.
That would be great, Brianna. If you could have maybe Laura put it on the chat.
Yes, here's it on the screen, and yes, let me figure out how we can create a link for the chat.
And guys, we can send this to you blank so that you can post your logos, but we just thought it'd be a little fun branding for USHCC and Coca-Cola, and we can add Coke everywhere.
Thank you.
Don't waste a branding opportunity, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Great opportunity. Hope, I want to share something with the group, actually a unique opportunity that sort of fell on my lap. I don't know how many of you get so many emails, and sometimes, between work and everything, I just, there's some marketing stuff I ignore. But for some reason, something called me to respond to this call for Dr. Oz, and it was a call for adults in our generation that are being caregivers now for their elderly, parents. And so I threw my name in the hat and I answered what some of those challenges are and really addressing the unique opportunities for our culture. And lo and behold, I got a call from a producer, and on October 22nd, I will be taping on site in New York City with Dr. Oz, and next week they're coming on site here to do a field story and do some B-roll, and other things are coming. And my hope with that is to really bring awareness, not only to our situation, but our culture is one where we care for our families, right? We tend not to go put them in a home, or, so that's my hope. And I just wanted you all to share. As soon as I know when it's going to air, I will share with everyone, but that's coming.
Thank you, Christina. Sorry to interrupt. I see your hand up, Milton, but Elena, I think I skipped you by accident. I'm so sorry.
Congratulations, Christina. We look forward to it.
Christina.
Congrats, Christina. Share the date and time with us, and we'll post it. And congrats. That's awesome.
Avisas.
Apologies, Elena. Oh, you're still coming through on mute. Let me see.
Brianna has a tough job today.
You're unmuted on our end. Elena, try on your actual keyboard. It might be on mute on your actual keyboard. Let's see. On mine, it's F4. I don't know if it's the same on yours. Sorry, Elena.
I saw that in the meantime, Alberto had his thumbs up sign. No? Okay.
And we also have one more guest that just joined us, Leroy. You might have to unmute yourself.
Leroy.
Hi, familia. How are you guys?
Oh my God, this is the guest that we're waiting for.
You.
That's a tall order, Esperanza. That is a tall order. Good to see
Leroy,
everyone.
introduce yourself to the group, please.
My name is Leroy Cavazos. I have the honor and privilege of being your Vice President of Government and International Affairs here at the USHCC. I'm a native of South Texas, and I'm so happy to see so many people participating in this training. I am a professional child of the Coca-Cola company, so always Coca-Cola. I had the privilege of working for the system for 2.5 years under their Mexican flagship in Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico, under Arca Continental. So you all are in great hands, and I'm sure you all learned a lot of valuable stuff today on how to keep evolving our chambers. You all are the front lines of the USHCC, and we're just humbled to be able to help you all evolve your respective missions. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you.
Aló.
Thank you.
Elena, is that you?
Sí, ya me oyen.
Ah, very good.
Hello. My name is Elena Dolinsky. I'm in Miami, Florida. I'm involved with the Venezuelan American Chamber of Commerce as well as Camacol. Y mi pasión realmente es empoderar a la comunidad hispana en su propio idioma, en español, en especial a las mujeres. So today I learned a lot and I really appreciate it. I can see so many role models that the Hispanic community, especially here in South Florida, need to meet. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, Elena.
And Elena, I'm sorry for your loss.
Yes.
Thank you.
Deepest condolences.
Next
Hi,
we had Milton. Milton wanted to say something.
Yeah, well, thank you again, Esperanza, Hope, or as I call you, Hopi, right? Coca-Cola, USHCC. And for whatever it's worth, right, 3% formula, we are on a mission to really help many Hispanic entrepreneurs to master this thing called sales, scaling their business, and really stepping into their businesses with a thought in mind of building a solid business they can one day sell, scale, and or sit on the board of trustees. So I'll throw this out there because we're doing something called Challenge Reinicio, un reto empresarial, totally in Spanish. I'm here in Miami, Florida. By the way, hello, Elena, and all of you that are nearby. I heard Palm Beach in the house, Miami in the house. I'm here also in Miami. And Hopi, I'm just going to launch this information. Perhaps it's through you. Not really sure how I can get it to all of you guys, but here's what I know about entrepreneurship. All of us need to know how to sell. This is going to be something free. We're going to have thousands of sales professionals, entrepreneurs, all kinds of people that at the end of the day, they, tend to the call of having a very solid and profitable business. So how do we get this information to them, Hopi?
Milton, you can put it right in the chat. You can attach a file right into the chat right now.
All right. I'll just put my website down, and then you guys could also, really cool stuff. I have something called how to build a solid foundation in your business. So just go to my website, leave your information, and at least we'll have your information to be able to circle back with you guys. And thank you again for allowing me to, lead the charge and sharing the energy here. Thank you, Hopi.
Thank you, Milton. I think we have everybody completed, Hope, introduction-wise.
Yes, if anyone wanted to bring a topic, we still have another 8 minutes that we can sit there and chat and network with each other.
Yeah, if I may, I also want to say that I am so excited. I'm throwing a campaign because New York is very, people like to leave New York out, but we partner one of our members, SBS, which is also, I know that they are also a partner with you guys with the USHCC. I want to ask Ramiro and also Coca-Cola, Inca Cola, who's been awesome we have been successful thanks to Coca-Cola. That has been a forefront. If you Google my name and you Google our chamber, you're going to see that Coca-Cola logo is all over the place. So thank you, Liz Berman and Randy Berman, for making us exactly what we believe in this chamber, is that business and community belong together and they work together, because without the community, we don't have small businesses. And without the small businesses, we don't have a community. So we have to protect them both. And has been my mission since I started this chamber and saw the vision. The SBS, which is La Mega, has the campaign Unidos. And as you know, my advocacy, the LGBTQS United is One, has joined together to promote New York City small businesses, Latinos. Latinos are not being represented. I'm the only one who has been a champion out there representing our Latinos. So we are asking you guys to partner with us. We need every small president chamber to join us. We need to unite, and we need your support to help New York City small businesses come together, and they need all the supports. We got Mexican, we got Colombianos, we are diverse, and they need every support of us. And we plan to do a media campaign visual online, and we have a lot of great support, famous people that are supporting me, who are great friends of mine. So please hit me up. And that's why I asked a few of you a private meeting, because tomorrow I'm going to have a big meeting with one of the SBS big top executive, because it's going to be something that my vision has come true. This was happened when you work hard. Esta es la culpa de Esperanza Porrafillo, who taught me to do things right. And she don't play when she tell you, Carmencita, that was my first time when I met her, usted hace la cosa en orden. Y ella se olvidó que yo soy una persona bien en orden. Me gusta hacer las cosas en order para que nadie venga y te tire las cosas, pero que hay las cosas bien. So thank you, Esperanza, for being the backbone of our chamber as well, because you were the first person that taught me how to run our chamber and make sure that we do it right and make sure that we have integrity, which is the most important thing that this chamber is all about. Milton, you are awesome. I love your personality. You rock, man. I love it. You kept this whole place motivated. So thank you, because I love it. So thank you, guys. And I hope we could really, this is the moment that us Latino needs to come forward and show that we too matter. Thank you.
Absolutely. Hey,
Gracias, Carmen. Muchas gracias.
Carmen, real quick. You know, authenticity and transparency. I love your authenticity and transparency, Carmen. So big up to you, girl.
Bueno, yo voy a romper el hielo un poquito porque estamos muy serios. Yo les voy a decir lo que pasa cuando las compañías no tienen un traductor bilingüe. Y como decía la amiga de Venezuela, que debemos ser bilingües. So, había un trabajador en una compañía que no hablaba inglés. Y todos los días le hablaba al jefe, que le decía, oiga, boss, le decía, todos los días. Como ella hablaba broken Spanglish, le dijo, oiga, boss, somebody robó mi lunch que lo dejé over there. Tomorrow le pongo veneno. Y si se muere, I don't care. So for those that are bilingual, maybe you understood that person.
That's very funny.
Aquí viene un secreto de Esperanza. Ella nunca ha dejado de contar chistes. Ella tiene an incredible sense of humor. I've known her for like 30 years, right, Espe? Since I was a little boy. I'm 48 years old these days. I met her when I was 17. And you've always had that, esa chispa, ese entusiasmo. So.
Habían dos gatos en Nueva York. Uno hispano y el otro americano. Entonces, tenían hambre. Y entonces pasó un ratoncito rapidito por ahí y se metió en un hueco. Entonces el gato anglosajón pues quedó en el hueco esperando que llegara el ratón para comérselo. El gato hispano se fue y comió pizza, comió otras cosas por otro lado, se volvió y le dijo, ¿y usted qué está haciendo? What are you doing here? Why are you doing? You still waiting? He said, yeah, I'm waiting. He said, no, move and I help you. So the Anglo cat se movió y el hispano le dijo, fue al hueco y hizo miau, miau. So el ratón salió y el gato hispano se lo entregó al anglosajón y le dijo, You see, it's worth it to be bilingual.
I just want to say to all the chambers there, we're in a position where we can reach a lot of our Hispanic community. And this year is extremely important that we encourage everyone to go out there and vote. Doesn't matter what you like. If you're red or blue, just go out there and vote. Let's make our voices be heard. Let's make a difference this year.
Esperanza y Hope. Ella es Helen, my daughter. She is la gringa. She is la gringa de la casa.
Helen.
And yesterday, Hope was sharing with us your experience with your mom. And I share with Helen Daniela, and she say, I don't believe you. And I say, you will see. So, Hope, can you say that it's true, Esperanza?
Yes, it's true. So I'm Hope, and my mother, Esperanza, is here. Mom, you want to say hi?
Hello.
Hi.
And so I grew up in the Chamber of Commerce, an organization that my mom founded 30 years ago. And my mom raised my sister and I herself. So she would take us everywhere. And I would have to lick the envelopes, and I would have to pass the flyers. And it's not like these days, you know, with so much technology. There was a lot more footwork. But I helped my mom with everything. And then as I got older, I founded the Young Business Professionals in our chamber. And then I took many different positions until I became chair of the board of directors. And so I was chair for 4 years. And we also have an advisory council to the board. And so now I'm the chair of the corporate advisory council.
So, sí se puede.
The best thing that you can do, my advice to you is to start young. Don't think that you're too young to do anything. You can do anything that you put your mind to. My mom taught me that. And that's the mentality I have from a young age. So I hope to see you one day in a big leadership position. I think you can do it with the mom that you have. She's a wonderful role model for you.
Thank you. Yes, of course.
Even though when Hope was a leader, we were leaking envelopes, invitations. And you know, all the board of directors come and go. So at the end was her, Christina, and I, my 2 daughters and I. So all of a sudden, Hope threw everything out, and she said, no, that's it. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be the president of the Chamber of Commerce any longer. So I told her, wait a minute, you are not the president, I am. She said, no, because everything you do, I had to do.
I'd just like to say, I'm happy to say that my daughter, who is now 24, is the special advance manager working at the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber with Annette. So I champion Serena's baby from the get-go, and I relate to the filing and sticking labels on envelopes and entry. She was in the 5th grade, and today she works for Annette at the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber. So it's great to see that some of us are keeping that in the family.
That's beautiful.
Thank you for sharing that story, Cindy. That is beautiful.
We had, in the chamber, we had generations of families in this chamber for years. And so Ramiro can testify to that.
I sure can.
It makes you as old as I am, Ramiro. That's scary.
Susanna?
And I want to let everybody know that I had the honor of attending the 30th anniversary gala with Hope as chair and Mr. Tejeda as incoming chair. That was the chamber that was founded in Morris County, Hispanic American Chamber by Esperanza. And I had a gala Thursday in Morris County, and that Saturday along the Jersey Shore, because the statewide Hispanic Chamber run by Carlos Medina was also having its event. So I said, I'm going to go to New Jersey for 3 days, go to 2 galas. This is early December before COVID. And I was just so honored to see the beautiful energy and the power and the respect people have for you, Esperanza, and having served on our national board. And it's an honor to be here with our national board members, Jennifer and Raul and many others. But I need to tell you all a true story. She would not let me take an Uber anywhere. Esperanza said, what time is your meeting? Because I scheduled some meetings while I was there and other events. And she goes, I'll pick you up and I'll drop you off. So for 3 days, she was my wonderful sister, aconsejándome, llevándome a todos lados, no, y era ocupadísima, pero me levantaba y me dejaba en el hotel. Yo creo me estaba viendo también, pero quiero decir que fue un honor estar allí con Esperanza y Hope y Rafael y todos. And so what an honor and what a kind gesture, Esperanza. You did not have to do that, but so, you know, I could not take a cab or an Uber or a Lyft anywhere because Esperanza, she says, no, I'm picking you up and dropping you off. So thank you, Esperanza. What a wonderful experience.
Thank you very much. But you know, we're doing the same thing Albuquerque did with us too. They were very kind. When we went to the convention, they pick us out, they took us here and there. I think when you have an event, you have to be a good host because we all come from different places and you don't know the area, you don't know what's going on. So the less we can do is really help you to make things easier as a good host.
So I wanted to add to that as well. It's a big chamber family, and we did this training in Albuquerque at the conference last year. And before the day of the training, I had to go and find the venue and, you know, where we wanted to have where I wanted to have the networking reception. And the Albuquerque chamber, really, it was like my cousins picked me up that I never met before in my life. I mean, we didn't even know what we looked like. You know, just a name and a phone call. And I get picked up from the airport, driven everywhere, whether it was a launch to see, we must have went to see 10 venues before we picked the cultural museum. And so Shannon, thank you so much to you and your team. That was, you know, absolutely amazing. And I think that's something we should all keep in mind with each other to be, you know, when we're going to each other's cities, to be there for each other as much as we can.
I think it's a beautiful thing. It is. And that's our power.
I had a comment.
For anybody, it's a family, and we're always, you know, everybody's always welcome into Albuquerque. I'm sure we're always welcome into their cities, and we should take advantage of the opportunities that we have, whether it's networking or best practices or learning from each other. And I cannot wait till COVID is over because New Jersey has my name all over it. So it's something we've been planning. And so Christina, Hope, and Esperanza are going to be tired of my 3 days.
We can't wait to have you. You're welcome to come. And Barbara, you know, I really think I agree that we all need a trip to Hawaii. So.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. You guys are all welcome. I'm happy to show you around.
That's my bucket list. I'm in. I got my passport.
I'm in. Yeah.
Everybody wants to go to Hawaii. I think Susana Marino has a comment, right? Okay.
Ramiro, I really want to thank you and your team for putting this together. This is something that we need at least twice a year. And, you know, I belong to other groups with other chambers of commerce in the region. It's highly competitive. And I really would like to encourage all of us to stick together, help each other, support each other. Right. Because right now we're going through different times. It's a different season. And the only way we're going to make it grow and make it big is if we keep together and we keep helping and supporting each other.
Thank you. Thank you, Susana. Each of you represents an important piece of the American dream.
Thank you.
Your chambers, your communities, you all are, and I've said it before, you're the economic oasis there for Latinos and Latinas. And our job is to follow your lead and to work to continue to be creative and to reboot. And so, as was said by Jennifer, we need to learn from each other because this is a hard time for our chambers. And you all know I ran a chamber for more than 10 years. So my heart and soul is the same as yours. And you know, we just need to find more resources for all of us, and that's our job. And I want to say, Susana, thank you for your strong leadership. Each of you represents us so well, and then you bring the next generation, Elena, to the table, as Hope was saying. But I want to conclude. I know we're running out of time, but I know Hope, this was Hope's idea. I want to give credit where credit's due. Hope, about 1.5 years ago, she says, I want to do a chamber training that is run by chamber people. Not academics, not, professional facilitators. I want living, breathing CEOs from Philadelphia, like Jennifer and Raul Salinas, General, and everyone, Esperanza. And where it's something, it's part of this familia that we have. And she says, and I'm willing to put Coke's money behind it. And, we launched it in Albuquerque, and, we did our best, because we of course had, our first, we moved our conference from LA to Albuquerque. So I was learning also at the time, and still am. But, here we are 2 years later, and what a blessing to be on this call with each of you. And this training has been so special, and it's a great opportunity for us to learn from each other. And Hope, I'm hearing that our members want more of it, and I think we need to give it to you. And I would just want to thank Coca-Cola and Hope Field for really being the visionary behind this training. Thank you, Hope.
Thank you so much, Ramiro. He's so open-minded. When I came to him with the idea, he's like, let's do it. And he didn't know what he thought it sounded great. He didn't really know, it was just my vision, and he took a chance on it. And I'm so glad that everything came out very, very well.
Well, thank you, Hope. It's hard to say no to you. It's hard to say no to you, because I know your mom, Esperanza.
Thank you. Yeah, and so we plan on doing this every year, and if it's something that we maybe need to do more than once a year, twice a year, that's something we can look at as well. But I'm so glad to get your feedback, Susana and everyone else. So
I think it's needed twice a year, because every chamber has new board of directors, so that you can train your new board constantly.
Yeah, that's true. And you can already see that some of the folks were here last year, but there's a lot of new leaders that are on this training this year. So
something that I think Esperanza, I spoke this so many years ago, and I wanted a plan. I spoke to the former chair, and Ramiro. That's why I've been wanting to speak to Ramiro. I wanted, because I'm opening chapters, and I need your guidance, because I want to do a chamber training. And because we haven't had the right, we're trying to get a hold of Fargo here locally, it's been unsuccessful. So I'm glad, Hope, with you, because that's what's important, to build relationship. Because when you build relationship, you know each other, and you know who's who, and it helps better to communicate and get things done. So hopefully now we could do chamber training here in New York, because I got people in Connecticut, I got people all over that want to open chamber chapters for my chamber, the NYC LGBTQS Chamber of Commerce. So hopefully I could throw them the hat, and then you guys can help me, because I've been, I think since a decade ago, I've been with this vision. So I always wait, I never complain. I just say what I have to say, and hopefully that one day somebody listen. Then when we listen, then it's the right moment. So thank you, guys.
Hey, Ramiro, Ramiro, real quick, I thought that you were going to say that it was difficult to say no to Hope, because influence skills. She's a master influencer. But who did she learn it from? Mama. Come on, Ramiro. That girl's gotten me to say yes so many times in my life, and I'm like, all right, what are we doing here? And I'm like, did I just say yes? I'm like, but I got this and that. The girl's got game. She's a master influencer. So big up to you, Hopi.
Thank you.
Milton, I have to attest, it's true. No one says no to Esperanza. So Hope is an apple that hasn't fallen far from the tree.
You and I.
Everyone, I need to run. It's been great. We look forward to seeing all of you soon.
Thanks.
Thank
So-
you, Milton, and thank you, Reverend Hernandez. We look forward to working with you and meeting soon. I want to thank Carmen because I met her in Philadelphia with Jennifer, and she's been a great friend ever since. And we look forward to working with you, Carmen.
Same here. I'm looking forward for all of us to, I want to leave with something before I leave because es un quietud, es algo que nosotros los latinos, latinas, we don't do, and is keep our mouth quiet cuando hay ciertos bochincheros y gente con mala fe y envidioso. Is los leaders, ustedes han sido un ejemplo para mí. Tú me ves que yo relajo, yo me gusta dar mucho amor y cariño, yo me paro, escucho. Cuando yo tengo quejas, yo sé a quién yo tengo que ir, voy donde Esperanza o cierta gente who I could know, that it stays with them, it doesn't go gossiping other people. Because what happened, people come and they spread it and misinform. And I pray that relationship, that we all could sit down and when people try to bring this organized in division, that we pull them over, sit with them and stop them right there. And we could stop all the nonsense. Because we cannot afford it. We're Latino leaders, and I respect all of you. I love all of you, and we should judge by the work that we do, not because of somebody else. So thank you again, once again. Just know that I have you in my prayers, and that I want nothing but the best for each and every one of you. So thank you again for this opportunity. I do really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Carmen. With that, I'd like to close. We're a little bit over the time that we scheduled, but I'm glad that everyone's enjoying it so much to stay on with us. I want to thank you for your introduction, sharing about yourselves, the jokes, the advice. Each one of you has made today very special. And again, to the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Ramiro, Leroy, Richard, Fernando, Brianna, and Laura, for all of your help and for hosting a wonderful conference.